Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Movie Madhouse Podcast. This is our first episode, so we're going to go ahead and introduce each other. I am Matthew. I am one of our two superhero and science fiction experts. And now we're going to go around the table.
Hello, I'm Dyllan. I'm the counterpart to Matthew. I'm also a superhero and sci-fi expert.
I am John Thompson. I am the action movie expert.
I'm Paul Allen. I'm the horror movie expert.
Ooh, spooky.
Very spooky.
Terrifying.
It's scary. And we're already doing the voices, and we just started.
I do very good at cartoon impressions myself.
Yeah, let's hear one.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Booby Go, and this is my friend Rookie. Hi, Rookie. Hi, Booby Go. Hey, we're on the podcast. Yes, we are, Rookie.
That's awesome.
It's amazing that was one person and not two.
Yes, it was. So, we starting with our top movies then?
You tell us.
It's up to you guys. We're all in this together.
10 or 20?
It doesn't matter. You 10 or 20 if you have them.
Okay.
I got
I've
10.
got 20
I got
right
10
now.
ready.
Yeah, I've got 20.
I'm underprepared. I got 10.
Well, I had mine separated just in case. So I wasn't entirely sure which one we were doing. But
Yeah.
Okay, I am pulling mine up real quick.
And I want people to remember our list is our list, and we're not saying ours is right. It's just our personal opinions. So if you have your favorite great movies, you definitely let us know what your favorites are and tell us which list you like the most.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, going from 20. Casino Royale.
Ooh,
Okay.
nice.
The Thing, 1982.
Okay.
Zombieland at number 18.
Yes.
Predator at number 17.
Mm.
Blade Runner 2049 at number 16. Aquaman at number 15.
I love that movie.
Okay.
Mad Max Fury Road, 14.
Oh, damn. I didn't make it on my list.
Revenge of the Sith, number 13.
Yeah, there it is.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, not the crap that was released in theaters, the 4-hour cut.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 12. Hacksaw Ridge, number 11.
Ooh, I love that movie.
Breaking the top 10, we have Alien at number 10.
Nice.
My favorite childhood movie, The Lion King, number 9.
Ooh, that came close to making my list. That came pretty close.
I'm surprised it didn't. The Batman, number 8.
Ooh,
My favorite movie of last year.
yeah, that was amazing. I loved it.
It was awesome.
Interstellar at number 7.
Oh boy, pretty divisive among people, that's for sure.
Yeah, especially someone we know.
Oh yeah.
Twister at number 6.
Okay. Okay.
Nice. Wow.
And now we're almost all superhero movies. Man of Steel, number 5.
Nice.
Into the Spider-Verse, number 4.
That movie was so good.
Yes.
I love that.
That's actually, we'll get into that later.
Alright.
But I got something about that.
All right.
Number 3, Rogue One.
Ooh, wow.
Number 2, The Dark Knight.
Nice.
It's a bold choice. I respect it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody who knows me knows what number 1 is. Anybody want to guess?
I'm stepping out of this one.
Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Hey. Okay.
Okay.
Hey. That was a great movie too. I love that one.
It was awesome.
It's my favorite movie.
Yeah.
And that's not just, never mind.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that on this.
Go on.
Just a slight little crush on Gal. Just slight.
Slight?
Yeah.
Are you
Just
sure?
But you know, the truth is, a lot of people thought she was a very controversial choice when she was casted. But once you got to hear her acting, and once you got to see all the action and the acting and stuff, she got to be a pretty awesome casting choice to
A
play
lot of
Wonder
people
Woman.
still don't
Yeah.
like her.
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people say she's not muscular enough and she's not big enough for the role. And I think that's a load of crap. 'Cause
Yeah,
she's-
I agree. That's bullcrap. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It should be more about like the
Part of the
performance. Yeah, because I mean, if somebody doesn't quite look the part, but they also don't, fit the part very well,
Right.
like in terms of like their acting chops. I mean, that should be what it is. Like,
Yeah.
it is the performance that truly matters. Yeah, likeness would be great, but
I feel like the heart of it matters too, because she is truly Wonder Woman off screen too.
yeah,
She's supposed to be an amazing person.
yeah,
Yeah. But, a lot of people had a problem with Heath Ledger being the Joker, and it turned out to be one of the best performances that he ever gave his career.
yeah, that's true.
It was the best performance of his career, hands down.
Oh, yeah. And he won an Oscar for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Paul?
This is slightly embarrassing of me to admit, but I am not as well versed in the Wonder Woman story as you gentlemen. But what I can say is that I have absolutely no complaints about the casting. I think that they definitely could have done worse.
Definitely.
That's true.
And as far, I'm more familiar with Gal outside of the Wonder Woman role, and I think that, at least of what I know, she was the right choice. And it's gonna be a very hard act to follow whenever the time comes for her to eventually be recast.
Oh yeah.
Which,
Oh, yeah.
as of right now, she's not.
Yeah, nothing yet.
She's still in the role, as far as we know.
Rather it's now or years down the line.
Right, definitely.
Hopefully years down the line,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's still too much left to tell for that recast to happen now.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
And I feel like we could talk about, even though we'll have the news next week, which we could talk about. We'll get to Dylan's list in a minute. But I feel like we could definitely talk, put in our thoughts of who's going to kick the bucket and who's not going to kick the bucket for the DC cast before the announcement next week. We can talk about that tonight, too, a little bit.
Okay.
But let's do Dylan's list now.
Okay, so as I stated earlier, I have it separated between two different 10s. And while like I do have like my top 10 and it's 11 to 20, they're not all ranked. Like I have my one favorite movie that's been the same for the past 20 years, and that's it. That's the only one that's ranked out of it.
Wow.
I have not changed my favorite movie in 20 years. And I even have a story about why I haven't changed it.
I'm so curious what you have at number 1.
Honestly, it's not amazing. I'm not going to be like it's some giant cinematic masterpiece, but it's just like one of those things where there is a personal story behind it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it is where it is. Otherwise, it'd probably be a lot lower.
Oh, this ought to be good. This ought to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with I guess essentially the 11 to 20 list first, and then I'll start making my way through the 10.
All right.
So from the bottom on the list that I put together, there's the original Ghostbusters.
I've actually never seen that.
What?
Yeah.
That is a crime, Matthew.
How?
That is a crime.
Oh,
We're
the only three that's seen Ghostbusters except Matthew.
I mean, how?
I've
It's a piece of cinematic history.
It's literally a part of Zombieland.
Yeah.
I've got the digital code for it. Someone actually gave me the code, so I've got all 3 on my Voodoo now, so I'll have to watch it soon.
You have to.
Yes.
I do not want to. The next episode of the podcast, I do not want you to come on here and be like, "Yeah, sorry guys, I still haven't watched it."
There's
Okay.
no
I
excuse.
don't want you to.
On the mission.
I will interrupt the middle of the podcast and make you watch it.
It's
Note
been
to
out
self, watch
since
it
the
before next week.
80s. It's been out since the 80s. There's
I
no
haven't been
excuse.
around since the
84.
80s. I'm not that old, thank
I was
you.
just about to ask, not the remake, right?
No, not the 2016.
No.
We don't discuss that one.
I am a person who, I can always find entertainment in things.
Okay.
So for the 2016 movie, I definitely found entertainment in it.
Okay.
And this is definitely getting off the danger of my list for being the first movie.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people. Personally, when I sit down to watch a movie, I don't sit down to be like, I don't sit down to compare it to things. I don't sit down to be like, oh, I didn't like this or I didn't like that, or even the opposite, where it's like, oh, this was amazing. Oh, that looks like stellar.
Right.
Like, yeah, like part of my brain processes that, but like the rest of me just shuts down. Like for me, sitting down to watch a movie is sitting down to be entertained.
Oh yeah.
And if the entire time that you're watching the movie, you're going, oh, I really like this, or oh, I really didn't like that, you're distracting yourself from the movie. So you're kind of limiting how entertained you can be at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And personally, that's the reason why I was a huge fan of the 2016 one when it came out. Was because, I mean, I loved the cast. Like Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Wiig. Her name's Leslie Jones, right?
I have no clue.
I know
well,
Melissa McCarthy was in there.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy. It was just a lot of great actors, and they're all super funny. And I was personally entertained by the comedy. Yeah, it's definitely a far mark off of the original Ghostbusters. There's no denying that.
So there you go. The
But-
original Ghostbusters make the list. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry. Tangent out.
That's all right.
It's okay, with all the time in the world.
So the next movie is Without a Paddle with Seth Green, Matthew Lillard, and Dax Shepard.
Never seen that either.
It's not surprising. A lot of people don't like that movie.
Okay.
A lot of people really don't. They think that it's one of the worst Seth Green movies. There was even like a whole bit in the Family Guy Star Wars movies about it. How that's what ultimately provoked Luke Skywalker to try to go after Darth Vader and Palpatine, was his love for Without a Paddle and for Seth Green. But personally, I just liked it. It's a raunchier movie, so for me to have seen it when I was like 6 years old was definitely a choice. But I don't know. There were a lot of jokes in it that I didn't get till later, obviously. So
Jokes in Batman the Animated Series you didn't get till later.
yeah, like it was one of the, I shouldn't have seen it early, but like I did not get the it's a rubber that I stole from my dad joke. I didn't get that until I rewatched it for the first time in like 8 years, like this past year. I was like, that's what it meant. I was like, how did?
Oh my goodness.
I was like, how was I able to watch this? I was like, why? But I mean, you can't. If you don't watch the movie, go through one of the final scenes of the movie where like they're basically like fighting over this grenade, and Seth Green is in this tunnel, and the only way that he can make it through this tunnel because he's claustrophobic.
Oh no.
The only way that he can make it through is by singing his favorite song to himself.
Relatable.
Yeah. And do you know what that song was?
American Pie? I don't know. I'm just
No. Do you really wanna hurt me? Do you really wanna make me cry? and above, there are these weed farmers that are chasing after him. And again, I didn't understand that until like a year ago because it had been a while.
That actually sounds pretty hilarious. I'm gonna have to watch that.
It's really funny. I think that it's great. I don't understand the hate for the movie. I really don't. Like, it's one of those things where just watching it and even just choosing to not just be entertained, I'm like, why did this movie not get more praise?
Yeah, there are lots of movies that I love, and I'm like, why do critics hate this one? Because critics are so misunderstanding, honestly.
Well, Matthew knows one movie, and unfortunately it's not on my list. Matthew knows one movie where I'm really passionate about how the critics reacted to it. 2017. It was a reboot, quote unquote. Never got a sequel.
Power Rangers.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, don't get me started on that.
I'm not going to, because it's not on my list. So I won't be able to go on a tangent about it.
Hulk will smash.
But that's one where I was like,
so let's see. Ghostbusters, Without a Paddle.
Yeah.
What else is on the list?
Next one is Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I feel like that's universally praised.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
One
of the best movies ever.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I can't wait for the sequel this year.
Oh,
Yes.
me too.
But we'll get to, I'm sure that we'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will.
Next is the original Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
I feel like that was a very solid movie. Everybody in it was phenomenal. Doesn't matter who you looked at.
Johnny Depp is freaking hilarious as Jack Sparrow.
Absolutely. That is one of his legacy characters.
Yes.
And that is one character that he is never going to be separated from. It doesn't matter
How long
what
it is.
old stuff is. Doesn't matter how long it is. Like it, that is Johnny Depp.
Yes.
And he is the biggest reason why that succeeded.
It is definitely, yeah.
Next up is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I really try to keep my Disney movies down to a minimum. I'm a huge Disney fan.
Not either.
Oh,
But-
I love Disney myself. I love Disney.
That's a crime,
awesome.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Matthew's committed 2 crimes in your top 20 here.
I want to see Atlantis and Treasure Planet. I've never seen either one of those.
How? those are both on my top 5 Disney movies.
I guess I've got a list to watch this one.
You do.
You have a lot of homework.
But I won't be very mad if you don't watch them before the next episode. I just will be very angry if you don't watch Ghostbusters. But Atlantis is phenomenal. Sequel, not so much.
Yeah, no, straight to video media movies that we probably people talk about.
So, some of them were good.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there's a reason why it's straight to video.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it was in theater.
Yep.
The next movie is Nope from this past it came out this past year, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I wasn't sure if I was
Very
about
interesting
2021,
That's a very
2022.
cheap choice there,
I
yeah.
didn't really
It
care
is.
for it.
I liked it a lot. I like Jordan. I just like Jordan Peele as a filmmaker. He's one of my
I
like
haven't
top
seen
5.
Us or Get Out either.
Oh my god.
That sucks because Us is actually on my top 10 list.
Oh my word!
I preferred both those movies over Get Out. And I feel like that's a very bold choice.
Yeah, very bold.
And I think it's because like I don't know, Us just had a lot more going on in it. Like for me, like to me personally.
That's what a lot of people said.
And it was the same way for Nope, where like I feel like each movie that he's done of his own label, it's just like amped up every time because like Get Out was one of his first major things that he did.
Breakout role, yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I feel like the next time companies were like, okay, this guy can really make movies. Like let's give him a little bit bigger of a budget. He'll keep making these like M. Night Shyamalan-esque movies. And it definitely has ramped up every time for me. It's just with Us there was a lot more mystery. Like with Get Out, I feel like there were a lot of main points of it where you're like, oh, so that's what it is. And like it was pretty early on. And with Us, you can do the same thing. And I'm sure that I'll talk about it again when I get to the top 10. But
yeah.
Nope, it just... I love aliens, man. I love aliens. I love aliens.
Space is my favorite type of sci-fi movies.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with it. Like, I mean, post-apocalyptic stuff and just like future like Earth stuff can go wrong, especially because you can get to that time, and then you're like, okay, well, obviously they weren't thinking too well ahead.
You can even get crappy stuff with the sequels.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the Matrix 1 versus the Matrix 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's yeah,
or 4.
I still haven't watched it. I still have not watched that one. I heard all the bad stuff about it. I'm going to. I like sitting myself down to watch movies that people don't like.
Have fun being tortured.
I listen. I love the Sharknado series.
I do too. Those are masterpieces.
I like those are movies where they know that they're bad movies.
Yes.
But that's the reason why they're so good.
That's the reason. Are awesome too.
Absolutely. Like Will Wheaton getting eaten by a shark that just ripped through the theater screen.
Paul will like this one. Chris Jericho's in it.
Yeah.
Gilbert Gottfried's in it.
Corey Taylor's in it.
Corey Taylor, Slipknot. Yeah.
I forgot that Gilbert Gottfried was on it.
It's a tornado!
I forgot that. It blew my mind when I saw Frankie Muniz. I was like, oh, so he's a really big part of this movie.
I need to rewatch those. I know you could get them like on Amazon now. It's like $17 for the whole 6-pack on Blu-ray.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're on just Prime right now.
Yeah, they're on Prime Video.
I'm not sure if it's all of them, but
last time I looked, they were. So if you guys haven't seen Sharknado, go watch those on Prime.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you really can't go wrong with it. As long as you go in knowing that it is a sci-fi, not the genre, the channel, the TV channel movie, sci-fi. As long as you go in knowing that it is a sci-fi TV movie, you already have your expectations.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's the same quality, and honestly, it's just a great and really entertaining watch.
Yes, very entertaining.
So, moving on from Nope. The original Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
I am a sucker for Universal monster movies. It was so hard for me to put Creature onto my top 20 and not Invasion of the Body Snatchers or like Wolfman. Like that was really difficult for me.
I want to get that Blu-ray pack that they have out now because I haven't seen most of those.
Yeah,
I think that'll be cool.
If you want to really collect all the original Universal monster movies, they put out, I think it was like 6 sets, where each set was a specific monster.
I know you have an Ultimate pack that you can buy now with all those sets in it.
It doesn't have all of them.
Oh, it doesn't?
No. That's the reason. That's the reason why I recommend getting like the 6 individual sets.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have all the sequels. It doesn't have. It has like 1 or 2 of the Abbott and Costello ones.
Okay.
But it doesn't have everything. Like the Frankenstein one has like 8 movies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. And I mean, considering the fact that you can get them for about like $30,
that's not bad at all.
It's not, and you can find them cheaper elsewhere. Like I got my Creature from the Black Lagoon one for like $20 on Mercari, and that was with free shipping.
That's not bad at all. No.
Yeah, no, it's. I would personally recommend that if you want to get them all. Obviously, you don't have to because sequels just start going on, and you're like, why is this like money? But yeah, if you want to collect all of them, I would recommend doing that. That's the best way to make sure that you get them all.
Right.
And obviously the Abbott Costello ones where it has different monsters are going to be in multiple ones, but I mean that's just like one movie out of 8 for Frankenstein. So
it'll be an episode we discuss later, but usually sequels go downhill. Well, I know one episode we're going to do is going to be sequels that are better than the original.
Okay.
So that'll be an interesting episode.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
I would make a comment, but I feel like it would immediately start a fight. I'm not gonna do that.
We'll start a fight when we do that episode.
Okay. I'm all for it.
Just a fair warning, I am a professional wrestler, so...
I have yet to learn my own strength, but I would definitely go down.
But we'll talk about that another time.
Yes. Next is the Batman.
Yes.
Next is the Batman. It didn't make my top 10, but that was just because it was so hard to cram my top 10.
Yeah.
But I love the Batman. We're definitely going to talk about it a lot more because it's so hard to not talk about the movie, especially with the fact that there's a possible over 4 movies in Matt Reeves.
5 more. I heard there's going to be 6 total.
I didn't hear that there was going to be 6, but I don't doubt it. I really don't. But I mean that on top of all the like 4 or 5 series that are at least rumored, if not confirmed.
The freaking Arkham Asylum horror series, that's going to be sick.
I'm more excited about that one than the Penguin one.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for the Penguin one because, I mean, I can tell you, no one even knew that was Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
It was hard.
That is ridiculous.
It was hard.
Crazy.
Watching
work was really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I watched it with my my future brother-in-law, and while we were watching it, he I leaned over and I was like, hey, do you know who that is underneath the makeup? He was like, no, I have no idea. He was like, I know that Colin Farrell's supposed to be in this, but I don't think that's him.
And that's why it's going to win the Oscar for best special effects.
Exactly.
Now they win the Oscar for best makeup.
I was like,
As they should.
That should win best makeup.
Yeah.
The only we discussed it afterwards more obviously because I don't like talking during movies.
Yeah.
It's really difficult for me. But we even talked about it afterwards, and he was and we were like, was there ever a point where we could recognize that it was Colin Farrell?
I don't think so.
There was one point. There was only one scene, and it was only for 3 seconds of it where I could tell that it was Colin Farrell. And it was during the part where it was when Batman and Gordon both are interrogating him.
Okay.
And where he's like, "Oh, come on!" It was during that.
That scene was amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I love that scene.
Dude,
Espanol fellows.
Yeah. Colin Farrell as Penguin was definitely a surprising choice when we heard about it, but upon seeing it, brilliant. He did a
second favorite
wonderful
behind,
job.
What's his
Danny DeVito?
Robin Lord Taylor from Gotham.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm down with that.
He's the best Penguin.
Are you sure that you don't want the 1966 Batman Penguin?
Oh, please no.
All the love to him. I love 66
I'm so ticked that the Batman was not nominated for Best Picture, which we will talk about that.
That was surprising.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that when we do our Oscar episode.
I am so mad that it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. I was so mad.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, especially. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I've never looked it up. Michael Giacchino.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name. I've never actually heard it pronounced.
The composer,
Not nominated for best soundtrack? Really?
I don't get
really.
It.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean that the soundtrack. I'm not going to say that it made the movie because everybody really pulled their weight on that movie.
Yes, they did.
Oh yeah.
But that movie would not have done as well if it hadn't been for the soundtrack.
That soundtrack was so moody and atmospheric. It was just amazing.
It would have been drastically different if it had been somebody else.
If Danny Elfman would have done it.
If Danny, I love Danny Elfman. With all my heart, I do. But no, no. He could not have done better or even as good as Michael Giacchino. No.
I watched the teaser 12, 13 times. I was so excited for the movie because I was like, nope, I'm not going to watch any more trailers. And then I was blown away by the film.
Yeah, no, I typically try to just watch the first trailer for movies. Yeah. But with that one, I had to soak everything in.
John's got rookie numbers. He hasn't watched it as many times as I have. I've seen it over 20 times now.
Yeah, no, I'm nowhere near that.
Gotta pump up those numbers, boys.
I think I'm currently on 4.
Mine too.
Yeah, It deserves a rewatch. It really does.
For sure.
Right. All right, top 10, buddy.
Well, still working on this.
Yeah, I guess I'm currently on 12th.
Oh,
I keep going on tangents. I'm so sorry.
It's cool.
I can't just say something and move on. I always have my thoughts.
That's right.
This will also be a controversial choice.
Uh-oh.
2012 Amazing Spider-Man. It's not Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Whether you like 2 or not, I find most movies entertaining, and therefore I found my value in that.
Spider-Man 2 is not even my worst rated Spider-Man movie.
If you say No Way Home, I'm going to punch you in the throat.
Homecoming.
I can respect it.
I don't mind any of them. Like, none of them are bad movies. It's just Homecoming's my
It just
favorite.
doesn't hit the mark for you?
Yeah.
Okay. That's understandable. There's not a whole lot to be said about Amazing Spider-Man. I was really looking forward to it.
Spider-Man.
He really is. I mean, just like, even when it comes to simply how he performs in the suit, not how he speaks his lines, not like who he is out of the suit, just he's so emotive.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
I feel like Tobey's the best Peter.
Yes.
Andrew's the best Spider-Man.
I can absolutely get down with that. While Tom Holland may compromise, like, between the two, therefore not getting up to either level.
Right.
Like, they all did great.
Paul, you want to weigh in on this? You're a Spider-Man expert.
Yeah, so I pretty much concur. I think that Andrew's the best Spider-Man. Tobey's the best Peter Parker. And this, I wouldn't have this opinion without No Way Home. But I feel like if there is one of the three that has the best combination of both attributes, even though he doesn't match either one, it is Tom. I think that he does so well, like, especially in No Way Home. Like, even in that one movie alone, there's so much character growth. Almost too much for one movie. Almost too much for one movie. But still, it's enough to make you excited to see where they go with Spider-Man 4. Fingers crossed, 2025.
Yes. Yeah, again, that's another episode entirely. I have my thoughts about how the next 3 movies should go. Because, let's face it, he's going to be doing 3 movies.
Yep.
That's excluding the crossover movies, but he is going to be doing 3 more movies.
Oh, yeah.
No way that he doesn't.
Yeah, just say
they're going to get him.
Just say it's quickly. Tom Holland's my favorite Spider-Man.
He's my favorite too. But he's just phenomenal. I mean, he like you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, No Way Home. I feel like he gave the performance in that movie that none of the others did in their respective
100%.
movies. Like, I mean, just even you don't have to watch the entire movie to understand what I'm saying. What we're saying. You don't have to. Literally just watch from the midpoint where, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, that is 2 years old now.
You've been warned.
Just watching from the fight at the condo and on. Holy crap. like I mean, just you could feel every single emotive point behind every single one of his punches before every throw, everything. Like, I mean, he just blew it out of the water in this last one.
The scene with him punching Goblin, and he's just sitting there laughing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Holy crap.
Where he's, like, grappling with Tobey Spider-Man with the glider. That was mind-blowing.
Yeah,
like, you could see the pure, unbridled rage. And it's...
William Dafoe should have won an Oscar for the Goblin.
he should have. Well, he should have gotten way more attention for his stuff in general, which he got a lot. Because especially after he was like, yeah, no, I only agreed to come on to this. You know what? This kind of sucks because we're talking more about No Way Home than Amazing Spider-Man, and No Way Home is on my top 10. So I think that when I say No Way Home, we'll probably just skip past that unless we have more thoughts. But it's just the fact that Willem Dafoe was like, yeah, I'm only going to come back as Green Goblin if I can do my own stunts.
100%.
When I found that out, I was like, no way. I was like, that's insane. Like, how like the entire condo fight was him.
And he's not exactly a young guy anymore either.
He's not. Well, the fact that he like the fact that I don't know wrestling, so I use suplex universally.
Paul knows
My
wrestling.
bad.
So.
It's
When
he went through the floors, it was like a suplex, right? Or like at least close.
That wouldn't have been a suplex. Off the top of my head, I can't think of exactly what it would be called. But yes, I've actually used that move myself.
Yeah.
Not through 3 floors.
Right.
Are you sure?
I don't know, maybe. But no, I like that he did his own stunts.
Yeah.
I feel like that solidifies him as the only Green Goblin. Like, I'm sure that they'll recast eventually, years down the line whenever they revisit that story.
Yeah.
Potentially in a reboot or whatever.
Well, I mean, especially with the animated series that they're going to be coming out with. Because, I mean, we've seen the art for Norman and Harry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that there is an alternate MCU out there where the Osborn family always existed, and they could still exist. The fact that I don't know. That's a whole tangent. I need to stop. I will keep going on.
I don't see anybody else topping Willem Dafoe's Green
Absolutely
Goblin.
not.
He is, in my opinion, he's the most dedicated.
Yes, truly.
Whoever else, all respect to Dane DeHaan for Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of that role.
Yeah,
but
it was surprising to say the least.
I think that whoever does the Green Goblin next is going to have their hands full trying to live up to that.
Yeah.
That being said, they should try to make it their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like Dafoe is one of those essential comic book roles. Like, you say comic book casting, you think of him as Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Chris Evans as Captain America. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Those are you say those character names and you think the actor or actress.
Yeah. I mean, Blade has become synonymous with Wesley Snipes.
For better or worse.
For better or worse, yeah.
Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Yes, absolutely. I personally really like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah,
his comedy fully fits in there. I mean, especially just his depiction in general, and the fact that he's so behind that.
Zach Levi as Shazam.
Yeah.
Those are synonymous with each other. You think those character names and you think those actors and actresses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you say Superman. I don't immediately think of Henry Cavill, and that's probably very controversial in and of itself. But I mean, when you got,
honestly, I think Tom Welling.
Yeah, I mean that's who I grew up with. I grew up with Tom Welling. I mean that was the show that my dad sat me down to watch every day, and it was that he is my Superman.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got Christopher Reeves out there,
and there's people that only knew him growing up.
Exactly. You think Batman, and you hear Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
I mean that is probably
R.I.P.
one of
the greatest voice actors of all time.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Let's just take a moment. Green Ranger, Jason David Frank, Kevin Conroy.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of heroes lost so far.
That was a rough month.
Yeah.
That made me not want to have my birthday that month.
I still think that they're going to end up doing a dedication at the end of the special.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard.
They're going to dedicate to Trini and him.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the Batman the Animated Series, greatest anime show of all time.
Oh yeah, especially in the superhero genre.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing DC is good at, though. There's no doubt anybody could say anything differently. They know they're animated.
Yeah.
Young Justice, Teen Titans, Justice League, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond.
Yeah. We won't talk about Teen Titans Go.
No. We're good.
But I mean that's a derivative of the Teen Titans series, so Teen Titans defaults.
Yes.
Yeah. Back on track. I'm going to be saying that 11 more times. 1997 Mulan. I wanted to make that distinction, 1997, because the only time that I have ever watched the live action Mulan, it was Wild High. That's the only reason why I was entertained by that. I don't think that I would have liked that movie otherwise.
I still haven't watched either one.
It's...
And actually, Mulan came out in 98, not 97. It came out.
Was it 98?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Ah.
Yeah, Hercules came out in 97.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't decide between Hercules and Mulan. Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the top 2D animated Disney movies ever. If you don't think... Well, it will once you watch it.
Yeah.
It will. I'm going to make you sit down and watch that movie. I swear.
By the end of your top 10, we're gonna have to arrest Matthew for as many of these. As
Yeah,
he's not
seriously. We're probably going to end up having to redo this episode later to have a more updated list as everything progresses. If they are not even
What
just
is the movie
honorary
that
mentions.
Not seen?
Yeah, that could be a game show that we could do.
Coming soon at a theater
Yeah.
near you.
I suddenly feel very roasted.
I haven't got roasted yet. You don't even know my top 10. I hope I don't get roasted in mine.
Just wait.
Well, I mean, as long as you're not missing out on these giant pieces of cinema history.
Exactly.
Like,
And I've seen
Like
Mulan
Matthew
a few
over
times
here.
on TV.
yeah, even just existing before the Mulan Szechuan sauce craze from the past 10 years. Even just before that, Mulan had a huge influence on pop culture.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you just look at Reflection. I mean, that is
That's such
one
a
of
great song.
while that is probably the second most iconic song from that movie. You think princess songs? That's it. That's probably one of the default songs that you think of. Like, I mean, that's.
My favorite
Period.
Disney song is "Can You Feel the Love Tonight."
I mean, yeah, that's another one. I mean, that is probably the default one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously there are people that are like, oh, let it go, but it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about Frozen.
No.
They need to let it go.
Yeah, they do.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I was okay with the sequel, but I definitely think that was unnecessary. I will just say that. And I have that opinion about a lot of sequels, so that's probably going to be
I
said
say
another
because-
20 times
because
by
I
me.
love both Frozen movies, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we will not
which
be
is
talking about
perfectly
Frozen
fine.
much.
I mean, like...
Giving it the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna put that one on ice.
That's a good... Oh, my God. Yes. Him. He's got the puns, folks. Matthew's got the puns.
Fall started. Like, here we go with the puns. Puns forever.
And Holly listening to this episode is like, there it is.
Yeah, whoop, there it is.
But, yeah, that's all I really have to say about Mulan 1988.
Yep, exactly.
That's all. That's all that I really have to say about it. It's just it was a very iconic movie in my childhood. Like, I mean, it was good. And it really is one of the best 2D animated Disney movies in my opinion. Yeah, but anyway, that was basically number 11.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
I'm not number 3 yet. So now I'm on the 10s. Across the Universe. Crickets. Have you guys not seen Across the Universe?
No.
It's not super surprising.
Across the Universe. I don't... That might be the first time I ever heard of this title. What did that movie star?
So, Across the Universe had Jim Sturgis as like the main guy.
Okay.
If you've ever seen the movie 21, which had God, what was his name? He played Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. I'm totally spacing on his name. Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
It had Kevin Spacey in it in 21. Which Jim Sturgis was the main guy in 21.
A musical romance movie?
Yes, it uses the Beatles songs.
Okay, but all I heard was that the few celebrities was doing like it feels like a Beatles impressions or something like that.
Yeah. So just to quickly describe the movie is Across the Universe takes the names of iconic characters it creates a story out of Beatles songs.
Okay.
And it plays through where like Jim Sturgis plays Jude from Hey Jude.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also Max from Maxwell Silverhammer. There's Lucy from Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. They use Prudence from Hey Prudence, won't you come out to play? There's Prudence, and it creates this really interesting story. And there are a lot of celebrity cameos in it.
Yeah, I just looked that up. Yeah.
Like Mr. Walrus.
Yeah, Bono.
Yeah, it's Bono. Yeah, and that was another movie where like I first watched it. I can recall when I first watched that. It was in 2009. I was eating beans and weenies, and it was that was a hard year for me. So I really attached on to that movie. And I was especially confused during the I'm totally spacing on the song. There's a cameo from she was Ajak in Eternals.
Salma Hayek?
Salma Hayek. She appears in the movie.
Okay.
She appears as a temptress in a syringe. Which is interesting. It sounds weird. It's a psychedelic movie.
Yeah.
It really is. Like the visuals in it alone are brilliant. Like I would recommend watching it based on the visuals, and if you're a Beatles fan, if you simply just enjoy Beatles movie
Do you remember
music.
2009? Paul can't remember what we had for breakfast this morning.
It's just
I had breakfast.
it was a huge movie for 2009 to me.
Yeah.
And I even ended up buying it on the PSP.
Oh, nice.
When you could buy movies for handheld game consoles, I bought Across the Universe, and it was it to me. It's just a great movie. Like I'm a huge musical person, so watching that movie, it was really good.
The Flash musical episode. I love that episode.
Oh, best episode. I may not say the best episode. That would be a hard choice.
The song
But
Super Friend was adorable.
Yes, very. Very. That was the first time that I ever found out that the guy that plays Cisco Ramon could sing, and that he does his own
Really
music.
Good singer.
He was great. Same as I think his name is Jeremy Jordan.
Yeah.
He played the Toy Man's son.
Yeah, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, I can't either. But yeah, I was surprised. He actually this is a little bit of trivia. He was actually on Tangled the series.
Okay.
Yeah, he played I forget what his name, but he was the little like engineer boy who wanted to impress his dad, and he thought that he could come up with all these solutions, and then he ended up turning on Rapunzel.
He was also on Broadway for a while.
Yes, yeah, that too. I'm not entirely sure what productions.
I don't know either.
But that's true. Yeah, I was really surprised. I knew that Melissa Benoist could sing. Same as Grant Gustin. I watched Glee.
Yeah.
So I already knew.
Running Home to You is such a beautiful song.
Absolutely. Was that? I'm in culture when it comes. Okay, I was gonna say I'm very uncultured when it comes to music.
It was written.
That's something that my fiance can attest to.
It was written for the show. I don't know if Grant wrote it or if someone wrote it for him.
I'm
was
not
written for the show.
I don't think that Grant wrote it.
That would have been even more adorable.
That it would have been, but I mean it was a really interesting way to tie into the pre-existing story, because obviously you get a bunch of people that can sing in the same universe. You're gonna have a singing episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, typically a singing episode or musical episode is typically a throwaway. Looking at Batman: Brave and the Beyond with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
Typically, it's just like one of those things where they're like, okay, we got the musical episode out of the way. Nobody asked for it anymore. It's going out the window. Not happening again. But the fact that they tied it in successfully to each other's stories was really interesting. And I think that was done
ended
really
with
well.
such a note.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that was probably the best way that they could have ended that episode. Yeah. Like, I mean, there were only like three songs before that. So having the fourth, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially having it be that song. Also, I love Darren Criss. So him being the music maestro was very interesting.
So you got an interesting list so far. So Amazing Spider-Man and Across the Universe, what else is on there?
Next is Back to the Future.
Ooh,
classic.
Yeah, absolute classic.
I love that one.
If I could have, I would have put the entire trilogy on here because I love the entire trilogy. Yes, it gets a little repetitive each movie, but that's kind of the joke. It was just the joke of generational issues.
Yeah.
But just that is another piece of cinema history.
Yeah.
And I could not ignore that on my list.
That's
no
one of those
way.
Universal movies that's just like, this is a piece of cinema.
Absolutely.
This is cinema.
Absolutely. I'm really upset that I missed out on their exclusive merch line from this past month.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they did. I want to say that it was that it started really early December and then it ended midnight New Year's Eve.
Okay.
But like it was a merch line from both Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, like they signed stuff. Like Marty's vest was on there, and it had his like signature embroidered on there.
Oh, nice.
It was awesome. I was really upset that I couldn't get it. But yeah, just a classic. Like you cannot go wrong with that. Like Back to the Future is the reason why.
It probably would have made my top 20.
Controversial.
It probably would have made my top 20 if Back to the Future was on there, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's just.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Like, just looking at the first one, masterpiece. Like, that's something where even though they didn't know that they were going to make a sequel, like, them leaving off on that note was a very bold choice.
Yes.
Like, brilliant. I loved it.
I gotta tell you, some people will put Back to the Future number 1, but yours was not.
No, it wasn't. But again, like, these aren't in like a specific order. I have my number 1. It's just I'm somebody that really can't pick and choose favorites. That is so difficult for me. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, I have 20 different favorite t-shirts. It just depends on the day. And one of them I just got 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, Back to the Future, just classic movie. Like, you cannot have cinematic history without it, in my opinion.
Right.
No.
Like, that is mentioned in the breath of the greats. Next is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Okay.
Yes.
Edgar Wright is my favorite filmmaker.
I've not seen that in a while, but that's a classic, yeah.
It really is. I mean, this is by the guy that gave you Shaun of the Dead. This is by the guy that gave you Hot Fuzz. This is the guy.
Did he do Baby Driver, too?
Yeah, he did Baby Driver. I was about to mention Baby Driver. Yeah, it's all by the same guy. And I mean, the fact that he's so involved in his production, same as James Gunn. Like, he's super involved in his. It's
Christopher Nolan, I think, is too, pretty much.
Yeah, and the fact that he, I'm going to be honest. I haven't read all of the original Scott Pilgrim line. I really want to. I need to get the box set, but just I loved it. I liked Michael Cera for a long time. He fell out for me, but I liked him for a long time. So him being chosen as Scott Pilgrim, as this like really awkward looking guy, this really awkward acting guy, as Scott Pilgrim, brilliant. That also gave me my love for Brie Larson. I listened to Black Sheep constantly, and when I heard that they were coming out with the Brie Larson vocals one, I was floored. I really was. Like, I mean, I love Black Sheep. It's probably one of my top 10 songs. I
have an unpopular opinion. Brie Larson's like one of my least favorite superhero actresses.
I mean, that's fine. I get it. Yeah. My issue goes with the character.
Yeah.
Like that's where I start getting defensive, is when people are like, oh, well, she's like this. It's like, yeah, but she kind of has to be. Like, that's the entire point of her story in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like
she's
that's
supposed to be cocky.
Exactly. Like she's supposed to be this, oh, I know a lot more than you, or you're telling me that I'm not going to be doing this very well, but I have a previous track record saying that I do it fantastically.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I've had a heated discussion about that at Applebee's with both my fiance and my future brother. And it was, I don't know. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim, it's just great. I love Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright is a brilliant filmmaker, and I really cannot wait for his future stuff. Yeah. Next is Black Cauldron. Do not tell me that you haven't seen Black Cauldron. Do not tell me that you haven't seen it, Matthew.
Okay, I won't say it.
Black Cauldron, huh? Wow. Very interesting.
That's a deep cut. It's probably the only deep cut that I have on here. Other than apparently Across the Universe and Without a Doubt.
That's the one movie that Disney Animation is actually ashamed of, that they actually made this movie.
Well, it's wild. I think that they have come to recognize the fact that they didn't give it the love that it deserved.
Yeah, and it was the most expensive animated film at the time.
Yeah.
Over $40 million. I assume that's what the film was made.
Yeah, it was. It had a really troubled production. It had a troubled production. It was just really complicated. Obviously, being based off Chronicles of Prydain, you're going to have those pre-existing fans that are going to have the expectations
over the years,
as
fans
everybody
started to appreciate the movie now.
Absolutely,
and people seem to love it. Yeah,
like there were children that saw it growing up. Like I loved Gurgi. Gurgi was my top character of it. I just had to stop to give you the death stare because I know that you don't know who I'm talking about. But I loved Gurgi. And like it's just one of those things where I watched Black Cauldron as a kid, and I had a Gurgi plush, and that is how a lot of children saw it. in that movie. And now these people have grown up, and these children that grew up watching the movie, they're like, why does this movie not get more love? Like, why is this last week I looked up on Amazon Black Cauldron merch. Out of all the stuff that pops up on Amazon for Disney Black Cauldron, there is maybe 6 items of merchandise.
Wow.
Yes. And I mean, there's obviously been more than that. I mean, you can go to the parks and you can probably find something.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a whole lot. Like, the only presence that it really had in the parks was in the Disneyland Shanghai, I think. Was that open during the 90s?
I have no clue.
I might be the only one that would have that knowledge, and even I just can't recall it. But it only had like the one presence because they were ashamed of it. It just wasn't well received. It ended up going the same route as Rocky Horror Picture Show, where when Rocky Horror Picture Show came out, not a people liked it. Like, nobody really went to see it. Nobody really understood what. And this was a movie that had Tim Curry in it. Like, I mean, like, ignoring the fact that Susan Sarandon was in Rocky Horror, like Tim Curry, like, this guy went on to become Pennywise, and like became the Pennywise that a lot of people associate for a long time.
Yeah.
But like the fact that this movie did not succeed was insane. But it ended up finding its audience. It ended up getting the traction, and I think that now Disney understands, like, wow, people really like these movies that weren't initially claimed very well. But now we have the audience who perceived it originally, and the audience who grew up with it and just didn't see it when they were like 25. We have this audience who grew up with it, who are now willing to buy our stuff.
I feel like there's a lot of those movies now. Like,
yeah,
they don't make anything when they come out, and then they're like classics.
Yeah. I mean, going back to my 11 to 20 list, Atlantis.
Yeah.
Atlantis didn't get a lot of love. And it was the same way with Emperor's New Groove. It was just the children who watched it who really had a fun time with it, and then the older audiences were like, what is this?
And now the Emperor's New Groove, you hear about it like all the time on social media.
Exactly. Like, I mean, first of all, it doesn't help. It only helps the fact that we have memes.
Yeah.
Memes are what make the movies now. Like, it doesn't matter what. Look at Morbius. Love or hate Morbius. Like, the fact that they released it a second time in theaters.
But that's a story for another day.
Yeah. It's. But it only helps that we now live in meme culture where, like, that's how stuff spreads. People go see it because of memes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. But yeah, Black Cauldron. I'm a huge D&D nerd, and so it really appeals to me.
All right, so who we got next on the list there?
All right, so we're finally to the 6. Moulin Rouge.
I actually love that one.
Okay, I'm glad that I didn't just get blank stares. Have you not seen Moulin Rouge?
I've not heard of it.
Okay,
I've
Matthew.
never seen
It has Ewan McGregor in it.
that. Okay.
Yeah, and
That's
it
about
has
Hello there.
Gosh, I'm bad with both faces and names. Nicole Kidman.
Yes, yes.
Nicole Kidman started opposite of Ewan McGregor.
Yeah,
and I mean,
what may. I love that one. I love Come What May.
It's just it's another one of those movies where you watch it for the visuals, if not anything else.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just it blows you away. And if you've never heard Ewan McGregor sing, at least look up the soundtrack.
Okay.
Not only does he give a top-notch performance in the movie, because I mean he's just basic rundown. So basically, Ewan McGregor plays a guy who moves out to is it like France?
I think so. I think it's probably in France.
He moves out to France to become a writer, and he ends up getting discovered because he's this talented lyricist. And basically, they do. I forget what it's called in the music industry, but when you use clips of popular songs, yes, basically they sample most of the movie, if not all of it. Again, I'm very musically uncultured, so like watching that movie for the first time, there were some songs that I hadn't heard. Well, obviously I knew the medley was a medley.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't stupid. But like, and basically he ends up becoming this talented lyricist for this. He's a talented lyricist, and he gets recruited by this acting agency. Well, they go to the Moulin Rouge, which is a burlesque like house basically, and they pimp out the players and everything. He goes there, and then he gets confused for this guy that's come to pitch a movie. And Nicole Kidman thinks that it's Ewan McGregor, not this other guy. And you'd be surprised who the other guy is. It's I'm so ashamed of not remembering his name. I'm really bad with names. Gordon from Dark Knight.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. It's Gary Oldman.
Okay.
Yeah, he basically plays the bad guy.
He did in Book of Eli too.
I never saw Book of Eli.
Oh no!
I never saw Book of. It's on my watch list, and it's been on my watch list since it came out, but a couple of years after when I heard about it. Like my brother really praised it. I've never gone around to watch it. I never knew where it was. I think it's on Hulu right now.
Sunday before we do the podcast, we should just like watch movies on each other's lists.
Yeah.
Just everybody come over and watch them together.
Yeah. we really do have to pick a movie that somebody hasn't seen, and then we all have to watch it. We have to do that for each person. So 4 movies total. I'm going to guess that mine is Book of Eli, unless there's something else that you guys think.
I have seen Book of Eli. I do love that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I showed it to him.
That might be the one that you guys have to do for me.
So good. Yeah. Paul, you've seen it, right?
I think so.
With Denzel Washington?
Probably then.
Yeah, I know about it. I just
so good.
But basically he gets confused for Gary Oldman, and then she like swims with him, and then realizes, oh crap, this isn't the guy. and he has fallen so deeply in love with her because of the act that she was putting on, that he's like, well, I know that you're supposed to be basically getting sold to this guy to star in his movie, but what if you just pretend, and then while you're pretending, we'll sneak off on the side and then do canoodling.
Oh.
That's basically what the movie is, and I'm not going to spoil it, but for me, it's a must-watch. It doesn't matter whether you like musicals or not, that is a must-watch, especially if you like Ewan McGregor, Nicole Kidman, Gary Oldman. Yeah,
they're all excellent actors and actresses.
Yeah, Gary Oldman in it gives a really good performance. The next movie on my list is, like I said, Us. I just liked what they did more with it. There was a lot more to it. It was a lot more guesswork on what was all going on. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, Jordan Peele likes to give you like what this is, which with Nope, that's the reason why I made it on my list. Was it was a lot harder for me,
right?
But it just, the fact that it was a lot harder also detracted from the experience. I don't think well. I don't think well. But with that one, there was also not a whole lot less, more mystery. But U.S.
Bring us out to dinner. For the record, that's staying in here. We're going to keep that on the recording.
In Us, it just, the twist at the end. The twist at the end is solely what put it on my list, my top 10. It's what put it in my top 10. It was done really well. I feel like there were brilliant performances from everybody all around. I think that the little hints that he puts in there all throughout the movie was just best done in that movie out of the main 3 horror movies that he's done thus far, or major horror movies that he's done thus far. But yeah, we kind of talked about it earlier. So next is the original Scream.
There it is.
There you go.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with it.
No,
it's
impossible.
Like you think slasher picks, and Ghostface is one of them. If they would have led with one of the other movies, and obviously it's impossible to because of the fact that it's so deeply tied to the first one, like every single sequel afterwards. If they had led with the quality that the other ones had been, it would not have gotten that many movies. And the fact that it led us all the way back around to here, which I really liked, the one with Jack Quaid.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited about this next one. It looks brilliant. I think that they're going for a very different feel for it.
We'll definitely get into this with my top 10.
Okay. Then I'll save it. But yeah, just can't go wrong with the original.
100% agree.
So I'll skip the third listing on mine for right now because it's my number one. Like that is my favorite movie. So next would be No Way Home. We talked a lot about No Way Home.
Yep. All Spider-Man fans here.
Yes.
Yep.
It just that movie made me feel like I was 6 years old again.
Yes.
Like I mean, I was the amount of joy that was building up inside of me watching that movie was just it was limitless. I mean, it's hard to feel that now.
It's my favorite Spider-Man movie.
It's my favorite. Like they did everything so well. They were so respective to everything that came before, and they still gave more than enough time to Tom's Peter. Because no matter what, that was Tom's Peter's movie.
Yes.
There are people that think that there should have been a lot more Toby and Andrew, and while that would have been great, I think that the amount that we got was perfect. So now if we want more Toby and or Andrew, we just need to get them in other projects.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
That was my number one movie of 2021, which also should have been nominated for Best Picture. And
Absolutely.
Again, I was very disappointed.
Absolutely.
That was my number one too.
I was really surprised.
I think I had a train of thought and I lost it.
Train has left the station, folks. I repeat, the train has left the station.
Do you not even see the caboose? Were you just facing the other way?
I can't remember. Oh well, screw it. It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out later.
Probably at 3 a.m. whenever you're trying to
Probably, yeah.
Guys, I remembered.
come back over so we can finish this.
Well, it's fine. We'll just insert it later.
Production, yay.
All right. So second to last, Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Anybody that knows me knows that is my favorite Star Wars movie ever.
It's so good.
It really truly is. I mean, just even again, score wise, would not have been the same with John Williams. A lot of Star Wars wouldn't have been the same without John Williams, but especially not exactly. Like I mean, just the emotional weight behind that fight scene.
Yes.
Like I mean, it was so intense, and I mean, even
yes,
I've ever seen.
yes.
I've easily seen that movie over 100 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it just
probably
solely
have.
for the fight. Like I mean,
I know I've seen The Dark Knight over 100 times. I think I've seen Revenge of the Sith over 100.
yeah, it's brilliant.
It's definitely by far the best of the prequel trilogy. The only problem I have with the movie is the way Darth Vader said, "No!" I mean, that was so laughable. I'm sorry.
That actually got retconned in the comics. In the canon comics.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah. It was a lot less drawn out and very impactful. Where like he actually tried choking Palpatine in the new canon. Yeah, following that, he like went to choke Palpatine, and Palpatine was like, "Bitch, no!" It was like, "No, you aim that crap somewhere else. I don't care if you got that emotional baggage, but you do not bring that into my house."
Palpatine's like, "I'm in charge. You're not. Get out of here."
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Revenge of the Sith is great. My brother hated that movie for some reason. He did not like the way the movie ended.
I mean, I can understand how
he
not
thought that
liking
Darth
it,
Vader
but...
was too dark, or Anakin Skywalker was too dark by killing the kids. I was like, "Hello, this is Darth Vader."
Yeah,
he's going to do that.
He is one of the
Star Wars fan.
Exactly.
He is one of the.
One of my Star Wars movies did make the list, which could anger fans. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
If it's Attack of the Clones, you don't gotta worry about me.
Oh no!
Same for anything from the sequel trilogy. Again, I'm all about entertainment over anything.
Right.
So I'll have your back on that one.
Okay.
But yeah, Revenge of the Sith, just fantastic. I will always defend Hayden Christensen's acting.
Yes.
In Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Well, I'm sure that we'll end up having a Star Wars episode, so I'll talk more about that then.
We'll save that for next time too.
But yeah, I just that could send me all along. Like you think that me going on for close to an hour about my list again? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I get so distracted. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith. My number one, and
here we go.
The movie that I have always loved, at least for the past 20 years.
I hope I don't get out of my seat for this.
No. You shouldn't. I mean, it's Again, anybody that that really knows me should know that this is like. Hold on. Let me just say what it was. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Ooh, okay.
Nightmare Before Christmas
Okay.
is my number one movie out of everything I've ever watched.
Nice.
And I
Paul's a
mean,
little bit flustered over there.
I've been
actually mad at you for that one, Matthew.
We're not seeing it?
For not seeing it, yes.
That's on my list in Coraline.
okay. Coraline's also really good.
I love Corpse Bride.
Corpse Bride does not get enough love.
No,
It doesn't. Like again, meme culture is really bringing it out,
Yeah.
but Corpse Bride deserves a lot more love.
that's one of those definite like gothic emo staples for kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We need to get more Corpse Bride merch.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah, and you can't deny that the animations for like the Corpse Bride, Night Before Christmas, that is amazing animation. It's
Hot Topic's really bringing out the merch for it.
For Corpse Bride or Night Before Christmas.
I think I've seen some Corpse Bride stuff quite a bit.
I haven't. I'm gonna have to start checking them
It was a
out.
couple months ago I've seen something from it.
I'm gonna have to look them up. I'll look on its site after.
Yeah.
But Nightmare Before Christmas. Here's a fun fact about me loving Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
I didn't remember watching that movie growing up. Like I just never remembered. So come first grade, I'm drawing. I'm being stupid, like whatever. We got free time.
Yeah.
I draw Jack Skellington.
Oh,
Like
nice.
I mean, literally, I draw Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the movie before. Like I don't remember ever seeing it, and I named him Jack Skeleton. It's weird. It's weird, and it sounds like I'm making it up. If I could find the picture, I would. But the first time that I remember watching that movie wasn't until like the next year at a babysitter's house.
Oh wow.
Because they were like, "Hey, do you want to watch this movie called Night Before Christmas?" They were like, "I think that you would really like it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." I was like, "Whatever," I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, sit me in front of the TV, put on a movie, I'm
Whatever.
gonna watch it.
It's all good.
So imagine my surprise when I saw Jack Skellington. I was like, I drew this. I was like, I did this. I was like, I made this. And they're like, no, you didn't. They're like, this came out 10 years ago. Like, get out of here.
Dyllan is a time traveler.
Listen, it's possible. It's possible. It's
so
he does
funny
kind of
when
look
it's,
like Kevin Smith. I'm not
I
what's
can never be so
funny? It's
suave.
almost like people say, "What a coincidence! I can't believe I just did that."
Yeah, I know. Like in my mind was blown as like a 6-year-old or 7-year-old. Whenever I watched it,
Yeah.
my mind was blown. I was like, I drew this. I was like, I came up with this. I was like, how did this exist? I was
I'll
like,
sue them.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I need to talk to somebody. I need to call my lawyer.
You shall be sued. Okay.
So from that moment on, like, this has always been my favorite movie. Like, I watch it every year on my birthday. I watch it every Christmas.
The sentimental value.
Yeah, it's sentimental value. I mean, this is the movie that matters the most to me in the world. And I mean that genuinely. There are so many more movies that I like a lot more, like just in terms of entertainment.
Oh yeah.
But if I was told I could only ever have one movie for the rest of my life, it would be Night Before Christmas. And I just, yeah, that's my number one. Like I recently bought I bought, again, I'm a D&D nerd, so obviously dice galore. But they came out with an official set of Oogie Boogie dice, and it was like a 6-pack set, and I carry it with me everywhere I go. If you ever ask me, Matthew, to see my dice at work, I will show you.
Okay, cool.
Like, I mean, it's always in my pocket. Like, I carry it with
how
it.
she loves the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, I carry it with me everywhere. I've never had something like that. It's probably my proudest possession. And I mean, I have some expensive ass shit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's my number one. My list is fully concluded an hour later.
John, onto your list.
Okay.
Please.
I hope I don't get killed with these rankings. And keep in mind, these are movies that are my favorites and that I think are the best ones also. And it's based on what I think are the best
We
ones.
won't judge you too hard. We're just getting the pitchforks and torches.
I'm just saying right now, I do play serial killer in a movie, so
Okay.
I'm sharpening my knife
Well,
right
we shall
now.
see. Well, we
Yes.
shall see how it goes. Okay.
Dun,
Alright.
dun, dun, dun.
Yep. All right. So number 10 on my list. Now, I love Western movies. I grew up watching Westerns, like The Lone Ranger and all that stuff. But to me, the greatest Western movie, as at number 10, Unforgiven, starring Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
I love that
Okay.
movie. And I started watching the Western movies. Like, when I got back to watching Westerns in the 21st century, I was thinking, wow, I need to watch more Western movies.
Yeah.
And Unforgiven, love that movie. Number 9, going to a Steven Spielberg classic. He's my favorite filmmaker ever. E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Okay, yeah.
Classic.
Respect.
I love E.T. and I never seen the movie until like last year. I think back in November or December or something like that. And I was thinking, wow, how did I miss this movie? And I love it.
How did you miss that movie?
Matthew, you don't have any room to talk.
But now that I have seen the movie, it went to my top 10. I love that one.
That's brilliant.
All right, coming in at number 8, and here's where the Star Wars fans will probably get mad at me because they definitely got their favorite Star Wars movie, but to me, this is for me the best Star Wars movie.
Get the pitchforks ready.
I love The Empire Strikes Back. I love that one. But I'm going to take The Force Awakens at number 8.
I got your back.
Because to me...
I got your
It
back.
could be worse.
Yeah, because to me...
As long as you don't say The Rise of Skywalker or Solo.
I mean, I personally...
I'm getting the dust stare from Dyllan over here.
I personally like the sequel trilogy. I personally like all 3 of them, but I still think The Force Awakens is actually the best one.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
Yeah.
It was the most composed to me.
Yeah. All right, number 7. Now, I'm a sucker for court drama movies, and my favorite is A Few Good Men, starring
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. How in the world did Tom Cruise not win for Best Actor? I have no idea, because I just love that movie, and I love the line, "You can't handle the truth." I love that line, and I love the whole movie in general.
I remember seeing it before. I just don't remember anything about it. I know I've seen it, though.
Well, I found the story so captivating, and I love all the characters. I mean, it's just... I just love court drama films. So
Plus, you got Tom Cruise. You can't go wrong with Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah, and I love Tom Cruise in general. He's also one of my favorite actors. All right, number 6, Die Hard.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with Die Hard. Greatest action movie of all time.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the movie's perfect. I mean, the action scenes is perfect, direction is perfect, the plot is perfect, and yes, it is a Christmas movie. So stop complaining now. All you people this does not say it's a Christmas movie. But I love Die Hard. It's easily number 6 on my list.
I didn't. Sorry.
It's okay.
I hadn't seen that movie until this past year.
That's when John watched it.
I had never seen it
twice, actually. I seen it like years ago, and then I watched it over at Matthew's house to watch it again, and I loved it the second time as much as I loved it the first time.
Yeah, I've got your back on that Christmas movie thing.
Yeah.
I totally didn't get it until I watched it.
Yeah, it is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it does. The main thing doesn't have to be Christmas in a Christmas movie. If Christmas is the full setting of it,
it's still an amazing action movie.
Absolutely.
So, love Die Hard. All right, now number 5. I wanted to put the whole franchise on the list, but I knew I have to come up with which movie in this franchise did I watch the most. That actually goes to my top 5, and that is Toy Story 2. I love the Toy Story franchise. I personally love all of them, including Lightyear. I don't understand the hate for
Still haven't watched Lightyear.
It's not too bad.
But I love Toy
I've heard
Story
good
2.
things.
I mean, that's the film I grew up watching multiple times on VHS tape.
Yep,
and,
I remember that.
and the best part is after the movie is over, you know, we just watch the credits, the bloopers. The bloopers are hilarious.
Yeah.
I love watching the bloopers. So I grew up watching the whole Toy Story franchise. It's easily my favorite franchise. Toy Story.
Toy Story is your version of The Lion King, because The Lion King's my big one.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Number 4.
And Dylan's Mulan.
Yep. All right, number 4. Back to Steven Spielberg. Jurassic Park.
Knew it.
I love Jurassic Park. I just love dinosaurs in general, and I have watched that classic movie, I think, at least 3 times. I love the whole franchise in general, but the first one will always be the OG Jurassic Park. I love that movie.
Since you like dinosaurs, we'll have to go see 65. We have to go.
I can't wait for that.
I finally watched that trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
And you gotta go to the theater for that, because when you gotta go, you gotta go.
That is true. Yeah. Dinosaurs, fight for your lives. But yeah, I love Jurassic Park.
I'm sorry, that was a crappy joke.
Come. So yeah,
Matthew,
Jurassic
you're
Park.
such full shit.
So Jurassic Park number 4. Now coming in at number 3, and I'm pretty sure Matthew's going to give me the death stare when I tell him an MCU movie made this list, and to me, it's the greatest MCU movie ever made. Avengers Endgame.
Wrong.
I love Endgame. It's easily the best MCU film ever. Now, I love No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. Don't get me wrong. I love Iron Man. I love the Avengers. But Endgame, I thought the plot was perfect. I thought the way they concluded the Infinity Saga, I thought was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was on my seat when they did that final battle scene. I just love the whole film. I've seen nothing wrong with that film. I thought it was amazing.
When I finish my MCU rewatch, I'm going to let you guys know the rankings. I'll do it on the show, because I'm ranking everything. The Disney Plus shows, the specials, but Endgame is not my top. Neither is No Way Home, so I'm going to bring in the controversy.
I know.
I'm gonna
Everyone's
fight you.
entitled to their wrong opinion, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see how it is.
Now, just specifically Endgame, or the entire story between Infinity War and Endgame?
You know, I was going to put Infinity War and then Endgame, but I decided to go with Endgame because I just love the conclusion.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I just love the way it concluded. And to me, I love E3000. I'm sorry, but that scene is too cute and too emotional. I
It
love
is.
that.
My favorite scene is when he finally says Avengers Assemble.
Yes. Yeah, that's where the crowd
Yes.
was nuts.
Yeah.
So,
When I was at the theater, it's like, yes! Yes!
yeah, and me and my girlfriend, we watched that film when it came on opening weekend, and I told my girlfriend, "Oh, here comes the battle," and I was so excited to see it. So, Avengers Endgame, love that film. All right, now coming in at number 2, spoilers at 2 and number 1, which is my favorite DC character ever, my favorite superhero ever, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Knight at number 2. It used to be the greatest movie ever made, at least for me, until number 1, which I'll get to in a sec. But Heath Ledger, which, by the way, I wear my Joker socks, which Joker is my favorite villain, like, ever.
Yeah.
But Heath Ledger's Joker, perfect.
It's simple. We kill the Batman.
Yes. Action is perfect. For me, the definition of a perfect movie, that's The Dark Knight. I don't see anything wrong with it. And for some people that say, this movie's kind of overrated, screw the haters. I love The Dark Knight. And of course,
Tell Steve that at work.
huh?
Tell Steve that at work he thinks it's overrated.
Oh, no! Oh, no!
We're roasting Steve on the podcast.
Oh, yes, we are. Okay, so The Dark Knight. So number 2. And now this is officially my favorite Batman movie. Number 1 for me, The Batman. It used to be The Dark Knight, but after watching The Batman, one of the greatest movie experiences I ever had. I never been more excited to see this film on opening weekend than The Batman. So to see with Matthew, it was an honor to watch it on opening weekend with him, which I never done it before. Watch an opening weekend with you, and it was awesome.
How many people from work did we have go that day?
Let's see. It was you. It was
Jacob and
Josh.
Josh.
It was me, and Jacob was there.
And I think Richard and Sam were there too.
Yeah, so at least 6 people that we got to go see, and I believe the theater was pretty packed.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So love the Batman. So that's my number 1 favorite movie of all time. So Unforgiven, E.T., Star Wars: Force Awakens, Few Good Men, Die Hard, Toy Story 2, Jurassic Park, Avengers Endgame, Dark Knight, and The Batman.
Paul,
Respect.
are you ready?
I break out my electric guitar and start playing Blind by Korn. Most of my list has not been mentioned by any of you 3 gentlemen.
Big surprise.
So, yeah, I can't wait to break these down. So, for me, and disclaimer, this is not me saying that these are the 10 greatest movies ever made. You know, these are just...
These
the
are your 10
movies
greatest.
that have somehow impacted me at some stage in my life. Okay, so coming in at number 10 is Hush. It's on Netflix.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, it's the deaf author woman.
Yeah, and then there's a guy breaking into her house, right?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
But it shows how disabled people have, you know, some strengths that, like, I might not. And to me, that was just so impactful, seeing a disabled person so well represented in a film. I mean, like, she has advantages over that guy that you wouldn't even think about.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I like Power Rangers so much, the 2017, because they really respect how when they make Billy autistic, he's the heart of the movie, and it shows just how sometimes autistic people are pushed aside, and it shows just how loving of a person they can be. I mean, he's the first one to get his powers.
Yeah.
So that is my number 10. Number 9, I'm surprised has not been mentioned yet. Big Hero 6.
Oh,
okay.
no!
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
good.
yeah.
You know what? If I made my top 20 or top 15, Big Hero 6 easily could make my list. Absolutely.
I am genuinely surprised that it was not mentioned
I
yet.
know.
I was.
How did I
6.
forget Big Hero 6?
How about a lollipop?
Damn it. I was terrible. I watched that Disney movie so many times. Ugh.
Since we mentioned Disney at times during this episode, it goes without mentioning Big Hero 6 is one of the best Disney movies.
Absolutely, especially in the 3D anime category.
I love Baymax. Oh, yeah. I have the Baymax stuffed toy on my bed. I love it. He's such a huggable marshmallow. I just want to meet him in person at Disney World. I just want to hug him.
So whenever I was a guest at Comic-Con in 2017, I was walking around and there was a person dressed as Baymax, and I got my picture with them.
Oh, nice.
I don't have that picture anymore, and I'm so mad about that, but man, that was amazing. That movie is so touching. It really deals with grief and trauma and growth and perseverance, and then ultimately becoming. And I just, for those reasons, it had to be in my top 10.
Do you know what would be really funny? If someone dressed up as Baymax and started body slamming people at Comic-Con. Just boing.
Are you trying to give me ideas?
I mean...
Yeah. And let me say this real quickly. I did watch the Baymax Disney Plus show. Loved it. I thought the Baymax show was great.
I haven't seen that yet.
They have a Baymax TV show on Disney Plus. It's really good.
Even know
it's a sequel to the. It's a sequel to the movie, I think.
They're making a lot of sequel shows to the popular, or the recently popular.
Yeah, Zootopia is a TV show.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet either.
Doug Days.
Yeah.
Oh. Surprised.
So number 8, another movie that I'm surprised has not been mentioned, especially by Matthew. The original 2002 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
Can the Spider-Man come out to play?
No. But that was one of the first movies that I remember watching, and growing up, I really identified with Spider-Man because, of the bullying aspect. Peter Parker was bullied, and I related to that so much, especially, whenever I got into school.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was a superhero I could actually relate to, which forgive me, Matthew, I can't relate to a billionaire who dresses up as a bat. I can't relate to an alien that comes to Earth with an S on his chest. All respect to those two individual superheroes. I can't relate to it. I can't connect with it in the same way that I can in the way that I connect to Spider-Man.
Right.
So, understandable.
That was one of the first movies that really impacted me and honestly kind of helped me deal with my own trauma that I was going through at school.
That's why I kind of relate to the Flash. He's the science nerd that always gets picked on, especially when he's a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we're not discussing, yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man is my second favorite superhero.
The one who will not be named.
I'm sure we're going to end up devoting an entire episode to Flash.
So yeah, when we do our review episode.
Yeah. It's going to be one hell of an episode.
So number 7 for me is an indie movie. Matthew literally just watched it for the first time the other day.
It was pretty good.
And for those who have either not heard of it, have not seen it, or who have seen it but wouldn't consider it their top 10, it might actually surprise them a little bit. But I'm going to break down why it's in my top 10. And that is a movie, it was actually made here in Indiana, called Chasing Rabbits.
Okay.
I think I've heard the name, but I haven't heard anything about it.
It's available on Tubi and on Prime.
Okay.
Well, not Prime, on Freevee, but you can watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend buying it through HoosierFilms.com, just because they actually make money off of it that way.
Right.
But nevertheless, it's a movie about this woman whose father goes missing or is kidnapped by the same cult that her mom joined years ago, right? So the movie is about her trying to find her father. So again, that's, that searching aspect is what I kind of relate to, for different reasons, of course. But it also has one recognizable face. If you watch Chasing Rabbits and then you watch my movies, you're gonna recognize somebody.
Holly.
Yes, I was getting to that. The supporting actress of Chasing Rabbits, Holly Anspaugh, is also in my movie, and so of course anything Holly is in is amazing, at least in my opinion. So Chasing Rabbits, the story's great, the cast is great. Leanne Johnson, as to be expected after watching her other work, absolutely knocks it out of the park as Penny, the lead character in the film.
Even Leanne actually recorded a song here.
Yes, Leanne and I actually have a song together. And there's going to be 3 songs with Leanne on the new Hope Through Suffering album. But yeah, the whole cast is amazing. The story is very relatable and just absolutely well done film. So that's in my top 10. Number 6. This is a movie that I'm actually not surprised is not in any of your guys' top 10 or top 20. It's a movie that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but it's a movie called The Bluebird, released in 1940.
Never heard of it.
Has Shirley Temple in it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So it's a
I
real
didn't know you liked
throwback.
Shirley Temple. I did not know that.
Interesting.
So the reason it's in my top 10 is because that was a movie that my mother and I watched a lot whenever I was a kid. And, truthfully, I don't remember everything about the movie. But I remember being impacted by it. And I connected with the story. And it's a good movie.
And a memory.
Yeah. I think I connect more so with the memory.
Yeah.
Just a well done movie. And if you're a fan of older movies, I highly recommend it.
I broke my record the other day. I watched Trip to the Moon. Came out in 1902. That's
Nice.
the oldest movie I've ever seen.
Oh.
Number 5. Matthew will immediately understand me a little bit more after hearing this movie. Goodfellas.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Man, I need to watch Goodfellas.
I was gonna
need
say-
I haven't seen it
So
either.
John hasn't seen it yet either. I could say I've never seen it. Okay.
Yeah, the 3 of us haven't seen it.
It's so good.
I guess it's on our list.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean,
It-
Martin Scorsese, he is the best of the best of the directors, that's for sure.
Ray Liotta is one of my favorite actors, as is Robert De Niro. So you have a movie with the two of them together, especially a gangster movie.
Speaking of Ray Liotta, next month, Cocaine Bear.
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but it's his final live action
I
role.
think
Yes,
it is, yeah.
it is.
I'm 90% certain of that. And so for that reason alone, I'm going to see it, even though I'm not necessarily excited about the movie.
It's going to be an awesome movie.
I'm sure it will be.
It looks great.
Yeah, it's
It
going to
looks
be hilarious.
fantastic.
But Goodfellas, one of those movies that just blew my mind the first time I seen it. And then it's funny because years later, at my job that I'm at right now, my coworker and I were talking, and he's huge into like mafia stuff. And so we were talking about mafia movies, and he started talking about Goodfellas, and it's like, oh, I remember seeing that whenever I was a kid. And then he actually like put it on the TV purposefully, I think, one day as he was leaving whenever I was relieving him. So then I just watched it for nostalgia, and it's like, man, I forgot how much I love this. And I've seen it probably about 10 to 15 times since then. And that was only a few months ago.
My favorite Scorsese movie, The Departed.
Oh, yeah.
That one was great. I love The Departed. Yeah.
Number 4 has already been mentioned, I think, twice.
No Way Home?
Yes.
Probably would have been my top 22. Probably that one.
It's No Way Home.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
simple, stated, Yeah.
It's No Way Home. It's one of the absolute best superhero movies ever made. And, just being there, it also has sentimental value to me because it's the last movie that I saw with my mother before she passed away. We went to the premiere. Actually, technically, it was the pre-screen. It was
Thursday night.
the day before.
Yeah, the Thursday night.
Yeah, it was the Thursday night screening. And
She's seen it before I did.
yes, and I was very hard pressed to not spoil it for you.
I was
But
gonna say, we're going to throw down if you spoil something.
But yeah, I'm really glad that was the last movie that we saw together because Mom had never been to a premiere like that before. The crowd was absolutely nuts throughout the entire movie, and so just the fact that she got to experience that was amazing.
I had
And-
kind of a bad experience when I seen it. Well, it wasn't a bad experience. I had to go to the bathroom at the worst time.
Oh, no.
Was it during May's death?
No, I caught Toby. I walked out when Andrew appeared.
Oh.
He was already back on screen when I walked back in. And I had ran to that bathroom and ran back because I knew something was going down.
I sat through the whole thing, and the crowd was on their feet. Like, I clapped every time when Toby Regards showed
Yeah,
up.
Yeah.
everybody was clapping when Toby showed up.
Yeah.
When I go to the movie theater, I have the worst possible luck with going to the bathroom. I always have to
Just
tell
wear a
Matthew,
diaper, bro.
Shut
Start
up,
wearing
no,
a diaper when you go.
No. But
Okay,
anyways,
so
yeah.
that's my number 4. Number 3 will not surprise Matthew in the slightest. Friday the 13th, Part 7.
Right.
Part 7? Wow, okay.
It'll make sense in a minute.
Yes. So, I don't even know really where to begin with it. And I'm going to try to keep it relatively brief. But I just really like the story of Part 7, and I like the fact that they tried to do their version of Carrie with it.
Yes. Yeah, I was watching Sean Chandler Talks About, which is a great YouTube channel, by the way. You gotta check out his content. It's amazing. And he told me what behind the scenes were of Friday the 13th Part 7. And then they tried to do the ending of Carrie, and I was like, that's different. Okay.
Yeah, Paul's going to one-up you.
I can one-up you on that one. So, I actually met Lar Park Lincoln.
No.
And number 1, she is a very, very, very sweet person. Absolutely lovely to meet. I highly recommend it. If she's at a convention near you, go meet Lar Park Lincoln. But I actually went to a screening, which is how I met her. I went to a screening in Decatur of Part 7. And she did a Q&A after the screening and gave a very detailed breakdown of all of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And they even had some never-before-seen behind-the-scenes footage that they showed.
But that's another best part about movies, is watching behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the best parts.
So getting to hear it from literally the lead of the movie was absolutely incredible. As a horror nerd, I was nerding out that entire evening.
Oh, yeah.
Fangirl moment.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Because that was one, again, I watched whenever I was a kid. So, it was a nostalgic moment for me. Love the movie. Love the plot. I love horror movies that actually have a plot, that aren't just senseless violence.
Because that's a lot of horror movies.
Well, yeah, truthfully. No disrespect to senseless violence horror. But, I enjoy a plot.
Understandable and respectable. I dig it. Okay.
That's why Scream's such a good one.
Yeah.
Because that's a good plot.
Which brings me to my number 2.
Okay.
Number 2.
Segue.
It's actually a tie. Because I couldn't pick just one.
I almost did the same thing with the Toy Story movies, but I knew I wanted to do just one. But go ahead.
And the first one's going to make sense. The second one I'm going to name is going to cause controversy.
Uh-oh.
I'm expecting tomatoes to be thrown here, folks.
Okay.
Scream 1 and Scream 4.
Really?
Wow.
I love Scream 2. I'm okay with Scream 3. But Scream 4 was actually the first Scream movie I saw whenever I was a kid.
Okay.
I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
that's understandable then.
So,
Okay.
but that's actually not why it's tied with number 1.
We still got to show John the Scream movies.
Yes, we do. But Scream 4, I felt, had a more modern, realistic plot where it's somebody that wants fame.
Yeah.
They want recognition. And so it's understandable. It's almost relatable in a way if you're somebody that wants fame. Personally, I am not. I don't really give two shits if I get famous or not. But I really like that they almost started to kind of go away from Sydney a little bit. Just a little bit. I also...
They're Quentin Sidney Cold Turkey, the next movie.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But Scream 1, I would probably rank just a hair higher, of course. But I feel like it's one of those... thank you for that, Matthew.
Sorry.
Ruin everything.
Scream 1 is such a revolutionary slasher movie, and it really is what brought attention back to the slasher genre. Because in the 80s, and dare I say early 90s, it was really, really popular.
Yeah.
But then it started to kind of fade away a little bit. It wasn't as good, and then Scream comes out. Wes Craven, my personal favorite director, and he created this movie that brought attention back to the genre, and it's allowed more directors, such as myself, to create their slasher films. It's created new influence and new inspiration for today's generation, and continues to do so with some of the sequels, such as Scream 4 and 5. Scream 5 was actually almost in Scream 4's place here on my list. Almost. Because I love Jack Quaid.
Okay.
I love Mikey Madison. And I think it's hilarious that she played a serial killer twice.
Yeah.
That gets killed by fire.
And
But-
Jenna Ortega.
Well, Jenna Ortega... Okay. Jenna Ortega is going to be the biggest star that's coming out of the Scream movies.
Yes, absolutely.
By far.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is amazing.
I really hope the MCU rumor is true that she's playing White Tiger.
That'd be interesting.
No matter what Jenna Ortega does going forward, whether it's horror, hero stuff, I mean, no matter what she does, it's going to have my attention because she's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely star material.
Oh, forget that. She is a star.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like she...
Well, yeah, Wednesday, Scream.
Wednesday bumped
Barbarian.
her up so much, and I'm almost kind of worried in the Scream movies going forward because they have a history of killing off the most popular actors in this series. I
Yes.
mean, to be
She's
fair,
not
though,
safe.
that's why Scream 1 is so high on my list, is because of the fact that they had Drew Barrymore in the movie and they advertised her, almost making it seem like she was going to be the main character. And then she's killed off in the opening scene. It's genius. It is absolute genius. And again, revolutionary series. So before I get to my number one, and my number one is, again, probably going to be slightly controversial. I have one honorable mention, because it was mentioned so many times already, Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
The reason it's not in my list is because I think that there was one part of it that was highly misunderstood. And this has started to be more of a topic lately, I feel. But the whole story of Anakin bringing balance to the Force. They presented it as him becoming a Jedi. I think it was always meant for him to be a Sith. Because that's the only way for there to be balance. Because if it's only Jedis, that's not balance.
Mm.
If it's only Sith, that's not balance. There has to be kind of a equal
There's more
measure.
Jedi than Sith, so Anakin bringing all that power to the Sith kind of balances it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the prophecy still came true.
I have my thoughts on it, but again, it took me like an hour when I was giving my thoughts. We'll wait for a Star Wars episode, and then I will fully converse with you on that because
Well,
I have a lot of
watch
thoughts.
The Mandalorian first. He still hasn't seen The Mandalorian.
What?
I'm
Season
calling
3
you
is
out,
about to
bro.
come out.
Okay, so it's harder for me to get into TV shows because I don't have that long of an attention span. But at the same time, whenever I do get hooked on a TV show, I can't stop watching it.
There's only
So-
16 episodes, so you should be able to binge in 2 days.
I need to get on it because I do like Star Wars. So I do need to get on it. But
It should probably be a prerequisite that you finish off all the live action stuff before we do the episode.
probably.
At least live action stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't seen the Clone Wars or anything either, so
if you guys want to watch Clone Wars, I will give you a watching list, and there will be
They're
two
not
variants.
even in chronological order.
They're not, and I feel like that's an issue.
Oh yeah.
But
And I
it's
heard about that because I was just thinking, why are they not in chronological order? I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna get the fans confused.
yeah, and there was actually a campaign when Disney Plus first launched. There was actually a campaign. Sorry, I'm kind of like railroading you. I'm sorry. This is just who I am. I'm sorry. There was actually a campaign where they wanted Disney Plus to make that an option to put it in chronological order. I think that it's better that they didn't because in terms of quality, that show evolved.
Okay.
And so like if
I heard the beginning is not too good.
it's not, at least animation wise, but I mean that was they were figuring out their footing. That was the first time that Dave Filoni was really.
Are we talking about the movie?
behind it.
Because
No.
Because
The animated series.
Because when people saw the movie, people were like, "No, I don't like it." But then they have to realize that it's the start of the pilot of the show.
Yeah. And I never, I didn't quite get into Clone Wars until like the recent 5 years or so.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know that the Clone Wars movie came out in theaters. I didn't find that out until 2-3 years ago when I was listening to a Star Wars podcast. And one of my favorite influencers, he goes by Mesa Windu online. And he he was like, yeah, no, that was one of my staple childhood moments. He was like, I snuck into that theater and watched that movie. He was like, I watched it with my dad. My dad helped me sneak it in there. And I was like, that movie came out in theaters?
Yeah, I had no clue.
I genuinely didn't. I didn't know. It makes sense given like what the movie poster is, because the movie poster looks like a movie poster. Like that's something that you would see outside of theater. But I didn't know that. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I just, if you guys want a like list of what should I watch in Clone Wars, I'll absolutely give it to you.
Okay.
My number one movie.
Here we go.
And again, it's not necessarily my favorite movie. It's just the one that I feel is iconic enough, twisty enough, to be number one on this list. Sleepaway Camp.
I
haven't seen that.
Oh,
Paul's the only one.
okay, so this is one movie I'm not going to go too in depth about because I want everybody to actually watch it themselves.
Okay.
It is an 80s slasher film. It follows suit kind of like Friday the 13th, where you don't see the killer initially. And that plays so well into the twist ending. That twist at the end is by far the greatest twist in horror history.
Wow.
The absolute greatest.
That's a bold statement. Okay.
It is a bold statement, but it's a hill I will die on. The main character is played by Felissa Rose, who I've actually had the opportunity to meet now. Felissa is absolutely amazing. Again, like Laura Park Lincoln, an absolute sweetheart. It's funny, because whenever I met her at the convention, her line wasn't necessarily that long, but it still took ages to get through because she spent a lot of time with each fan, making them feel like, you know, an actual person, like they're important and that they matter. And so, anywho, going back to Sleepaway Camp, that movie, it's a camp slasher, you know, like a lot of slashers in the 80s were.
Of course.
But it's done so well, and the ending, which I'm sure that you just now looked on your phone.
I didn't look it up. I was trying to find it so I could watch it.
Oh, okay.
It's on Freevee.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sleepaway Camp, the ending, even if you don't enjoy the movie up to the ending, you will respect the ending for what it did for slasher films.
Okay.
Revolutionary. I would dare say it's more revolutionary than Friday the 13th.
Like, another bold statement. Okay.
Wow.
I respect it, but that's really bold.
Tomatoes beat
Okay.
road.
I've got to watch this now. That's
I don't have tomatoes, but I do have knives we could throw.
oh perfect.
Like Knives Out. Like Knives Out. Which
Reminder,
I
I'm the
can't
one
get the
playing a
knives
serial
out.
killer in the movie.
Which that's another movie I definitely would have made my top 22 is Knives Out. Which if you have not
still
seen,
haven't seen
I was
that.
contemplating putting it on.
yeah, I love the Knives Out movie. They are amazing.
It's
I love
phenomenal.
those movies.
Sleepaway Camp is actually one of the, not the main influence, but one of the influences in my movie that is coming out in October. Specifically being with the twist. It's not going to be even close to the same twist, but there is a twist, much like you don't see the twist coming in Sleepaway Camp. You're not going to see the twist coming in The First Harvest. There are only 3 people that know about this twist. There's only 3 people. None of the cast, not even Matthew.
Oh, I thought I did.
No.
Interesting.
You know about the fake twist.
There
I will
are-
twist you out of that one.
There are a few smaller twists in The First Harvest, some of which Matthew does know about. But this one, there's only 3 people that knows about. Myself and the other 2 involved in the scene.
Oh, nice.
Not even Garrett knows, which he probably should because he's a cinematographer. But yeah, that movie is the one that made me want to have a massive twist in The First Harvest. And you know, that whole only 3 people know, that's going to stay true until Garrett finds out. Only 4 people going into the First Harvest screening will know what the twist is.
Until you have the premiere here in Shelbyville.
Exactly. Because I want people to be surprised. And
Go and plug that for a minute about how you're going to have premieres.
so The First Harvest is my horror movie. It's coming out, fingers crossed, October 13th of this year, 2023. There are going to be a couple of screenings, one here in Shelbyville and one in Bloomington, and I am contemplating screenings in other cities as well. So if you are in Shelbyville, Bloomington, potentially Indianapolis, potentially Connorsville, you're definitely going to want to keep your eyes out, because The First Harvest is a movie I'm very proud of. The cast is phenomenal. We have Holly Anspaugh as the lead character, Emily. We have Derek McMahon, who is no doubt going to be big in action movies.
Yeah, definitely.
We have younger, talented cast that is just getting started, such as Alyssa Dusending and Chloe Lutz, if I'm saying her name correctly this time, that are no doubt going to be huge in film. And so I'm super proud of it. I'm super proud of everybody involved in the movie. Just an absolute honor to have been able to create it and honor the original vision of the movie. Because as is mostly known by people now, it's a movie I was creating with my mother just before she passed away. So it's a good way to honor. And actually, there's going to be a little memorial role at the end of the movie. I'm not going to spoil too much about that out of respect for the other cast members whose families will be involved with this. But it's going to be a way to honor those who have gone before us, which is crazy for a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's one thing that I'm actually really proud of for The First Harvest, is it's not just a senseless violence horror movie. Again, no disrespect to movies like that. I think that they're great. But The First Harvest has a story. There's not even really hardly any gore. There is a reason for that, but we'll probably get into that in a different episode. There's not really that much gore. There is murder. there are killings on screen. But it has a story, and it has characters that you will connect to. And I think that there's a very diverse cast. And again, they just all delivered in it. So, Shelbyville, Bloomington, October 13th. Be looking out for The First Harvest.
All right.
Very cool.
We got one thing left tonight.
All right.
This is definitely going to be our longest episode, which is okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
3
great.
hours
It was because of me. I'm so sorry.
I was on it too. It's okay. The pilot episodes are supposed to be longer.
Yeah.
So, what are some of our predictions for this year? Like, movies coming out this year. Not just what we think will do well, like, our personal opinion. Like, obviously, Paul's going to think Scream is going to be great.
Well, way to spoil mine. Let me speak for myself, Matthew.
Spoil one of mine.
Gosh.
Spoil one of mine.
Probably Shazam.
Yeah. But we movies that we think will do well, like box office wise, what's going to do well, the fans are going to love.
Scream 6 is going to do well.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because it's my opinion. I think it's genuinely going to do well.
Yeah.
I think the way that they've led into it has been incredible. The fact that they showed the teaser trailer and then the full trailer, that it gives you a lot of juicy tidbits, but it doesn't give anything away.
It just clues to a puzzle.
Yeah. It still is going to be really hard to figure everything out, unless you're me and happen to know some spoilers already. But yeah, I think Scream 6 will do well. I think I don't know about Shazam because they're not really doing that much advertising.
There's no marketing for it at all.
Which is absolutely
Are you
mind-boggling.
kidding me? There's no marketing for that?
There's
I
something that I don't
love
want
the
to talk
original
about.
Shazam. That's my favorite DCU film. I love Shazam.
I think Ant-Man will do better.
Yes, I agree with that.
Financially, yeah.
For multiple reasons, I think they'll do better.
You want to elaborate on that?
Wait, which
About
movie?
what?
About Ant-Man doing better, like, do you just mean financially, or do you mean in general?
I mean, if we're looking at like making the most profit, I
Yeah,
definitely think
definitely.
that Quantumania will make more profit
Yes.
than Fear of the Gods. But I think that'll be for a few reasons. One of the reasons being stuff that has happened today.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I've been kind of defending it a little bit on my Twitter because personally, I really love Zachary Levi. Chuck
Yeah.
is one of my favorite shows. But
I love him.
I really
love
don't
him
want
as
to
a
talk about stuff
person.
today.
Yeah.
It's such a hard issue because
not get
like
into
you really have to be
politics.
super educated
Yeah.
on just the guy in general.
Yeah.
So I'd
I
rather not talk
personally love
about
him in person. I mean, he's funny and he's a great actor
Yeah,
in general.
He seems like a really caring
and
guy.
Shazam is like my top 3 favorite DC movies.
Yeah, same.
I love Shazam. It's really
Yeah,
good.
let's stick
So-
away from the political
Yeah,
discussions.
yeah.
That might be-
I was hoping that it wouldn't come up.
Yeah.
I was like, hopefully this will blow over.
Yeah, those will be episode killers.
Yeah.
So the movie that I think will do well critically and financially, I think it's going to be Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah, I think that's going to do some big damage.
I love
It
Mission
is.
Impossible
It is.
movies in general, and I just watched the trailer just a couple days ago, and I'm super excited for this movie. I can't wait to see it.
I've got a couple, I think.
Okay.
Best received by fans, Spider-Verse 2.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Probably one of the highest selling movies. I could see Guardians 3 this year.
Yes.
Yes.
With it being the
That-
final
that-
Guardians.
That
Yes.
is my number one most anticipated film of this year.
Minus Spider-Verse. But
Yeah.
Well, haven't the Guardians movies been the most profitable out of all the MCU? Obviously, except for the really big ones like the
except for
Avenger
Black
movies.
Panther. I think Black Panther is
Yes.
better.
But like, Guardians has been the best received.
Yeah.
Oh,
Captain Marvel made, I think, 1.1 billion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not only are you going to have people that hate watch it because of James Gunn taking over DC,
Yeah.
which that will come in later episodes.
Yeah, that's definitely next week, probably.
Yeah, definitely. But assuming that he doesn't tease us more,
Yeah.
it's going to be the last Guardians movie. It's going to be a Guardians movie in general,
Oh yeah.
and then on top of that, you've got
dying,
Adam Warlock in it.
Yeah.
That was one of the main things to me that was going to make it.
Poulter playing him.
Will Poulter as Adam Warlock was a really interesting choice because I always relate him to We're the Millers,
Yeah.
where he's like, "You guys are getting paid." I always relate him to We're the Millers. So seeing him like be super built for Adam Warlock, I was really surprised. And then the images that we've been getting recently, when they show him in a trailer, it's going to be some of the hardest stuff that we've seen in a Guardians movie. Like, he is out for blood.
I'm just worried. I'm afraid they're going to kill Rocket.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
If they kill Rocket, I'm going to be so upset.
I don't think it's Rocket.
It's either Rocket or Drax.
Drax
For me.
is confirmed leaving, so
Yeah, so
he will
I
not be in
mean,
any more MCU because he actually might be jumping over to. Yeah, we'll get to that next week.
yeah.
Yeah. I got a quick question. There's one movie that I don't understand that's coming out this year. Why is Barbie coming out this year? I don't get that. It makes no sense.
This ties back around to what I was saying about meme culture.
Okay.
I think that Barbie is going to be a strong contender for the top grossing movie this year.
Oh my no.
I'm
All the
saying-
memes.
Yeah, because of all the memes.
No,
Absolutely.
no
There are
way,
people that are
dude.
like, listen,
Come
I'm not
on,
going
no.
to go see Oppenheimer in a million years. Oppenheimer, maybe by Christopher Nolan. I have my personal feelings regarding Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I love
but
the
Chris-
filmmaker.
Oppenheimer has such a like giant cast. Like, I mean, you've got
It is stacked.
they have like what 50 A-list actors coming in for this movie.
Florence Poe, Robert Downey Jr.,
Cillian
Cillian
Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot going for that movie, and the fact that it's going to be guaranteed in theaters for 3 months.
And it's an over 3-hour movie, probably.
Yeah,
'Cause they said
like
it's going to be longer than Interstellar at 2:49.
yeah, it's. I do think that Barbie's going to be a giant contender solely because of the memes. Now you're also going to have the children that are going to be like, "Mommy, I want to go see Barbie,"
Yeah.
and like they're going to be like, "I want to go see the movie based on the dolls that I play with." You're going to have the children that go see it. You're going to have people that go see it solely because of Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Matthew.
Like,
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie to you. If the Barbie movie actually gets great reviews, I'll go see the movie, and I'm not lying.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it.
But if the movie receives bad reviews, no thank you, because it's so unnecessary. For me, I think it's stupid that this film comes out.
I was perplexed when they announced it, which I mean figures because they literally just announced a Hot Wheels movie.
Yeah.
So it's like they're really trying to market on these Hasbro products.
And there's a great, not Hot Wheels related, but Gran Turismo is coming out with a movie now.
Yeah. Which the teaser for that was really interesting.
I didn't see the teaser.
It wasn't like a full on teaser. It was just like I think there was a little bit of video and then they released some stills.
Okay.
Like they're basically from the way that it looks, they're going to be in an arcade machines controlling the cars. I hope that I'm wrong. That I just saw that wrong, or that I didn't see the right
Yeah,
picture.
that sounds kinda
That's how it
stupid.
looks. I was like, I mean, if you're going to make a movie based off a video game, that's one way to do it. But yeah, I think that Barbie is actually going to be one of the top grossing movies this year.
How much do you think Oppenheimer will have to make a profit? With all the cast, with Christopher Nolan directing.
I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to take a guess probably around $800 million.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Like,
guessing
that's-
too. Paul?
Yeah.
I'm with the 800 million.
I'm going to look up the budget real quick.
It's got to be astronomical, and the fact that we don't even we're not going to have the hard numbers just yet.
I got the budget here. It only costs $100 million to make.
No,
That's
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. I just looked it up. It's only $100 million
That's what it's saying,
for this movie. Yeah.
what
I'm actually surprised. I actually thought it was a lot more expensive than that.
with that cast and the fact that Christopher Nolan tries to do as much practical as possible.
Did you hear about what he did?
No, what do you do?
Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not. Apparently, he wasn't satisfied with the effects for the bomb. So he had them take he had a bunch of scientists take the radiation aspect out of it and actually launch off a nuclear bomb in the middle of the desert without the radiation.
I actually thought that the movie. You're just gotten cracked up. But I actually thought the budget cost at least $200 or $250 million. But $100 million?
Well, I mean
Really?
that's still only an estimate.
Right.
We don't know for sure.
And that's not including advertising. Or
Oh, right.
Ex- exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I cannot see it be $100 million, not knowing who Christopher Nolan is and who he has hired for this movie.
Well, I think
I
Interstellar
cannot
was
see it.
only 140.
Yeah.
And that you've heard of crazy stuff about that, right?
Yeah, I've
Black
heard.
hole?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that company that did the special effects for Interstellar, they went from about 80 employees to 5,000 just to make the black hole.
Good Lord. Wow. Oh, man. Well, I gotta say, doing the first episode with you guys, it was an honor.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
this was a lot of
It's
fun.
been really
Yeah.
fun.
I cannot wait for next week to know what we're going to talk about next. I'm so looking forward
It's
to
got
that.
to be the DC news.
It will be the
comes out.
DC news, and let's see, we could do one more subject. Actually, well, we'll do one more subject over the time because that DC news. We could talk just DC in general, like who might kick the bucket, who will stay.
Yeah, out of the people who haven't been confirmed to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And also possible future projects that aren't announced yet.
Okay.
That'll be next week.
Awesome.
And then in a couple weeks, we got our Ant-Man review. That is confirmed already because, I'm assuming we're all going to see
I'm
Ant-Man.
so hyped.
That'll be
for
our
the
first
Ant-Man
review
movies.
episode.
I love the Ant-Man movies in general, so I'm so excited for them.
Whatever that day is, the 21st or whatever that Tuesday is going to be after the Ant-Man movie comes out. We're going to drop episodes on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
So-
that's definitely going to be lots of fun.
Do we want to list off the flop that we think is going to be this year out of the major movies?
Interesting, yeah. I think we should.
Barbie.
I've.
Oh, you and Dylan are going to go a few rounds.
Well, like I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's going to be an amazing movie. I just
Right.
solely because of the meme culture. I think that's really why it's going to be so successful.
I mean, you never know what any movie's going to bomb at the
Yeah,
box office.
exactly.
You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be an amazing movie, and a lot of people just didn't go to see it.
And that also doesn't reflect if it's actually a good movie or not.
Right.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else we got a flop?
Okay. I'm between two.
Okay.
I'm not going to mention some of the ones I'm seeing on the. I wasn't super sure what the slate was for 2023, so I looked up the possible slate, and I'm seeing some where a lot of these are definitely not going to be 2023, especially like Fantastic Beasts.
Right.
Like apparently there's going to be a fourth one, and there's no way. If that came out this year, that would be a flop.
And we should probably specify for flops. These are like big budget movies that, like superhero movies, Barbie, whatever, movies that a lot of people are going to know, not just some movie nobody's heard of that all of a sudden doesn't make any money.
Yeah. Okay. I'm between two. I don't think Flash is going to flop.
I don't either.
Indiana Jones after the fourth one, I think that this is going to do a lot better. So I don't think that'll flop either.
Yeah.
However, I do think that where is it? Either the Dungeons and Dragons movie is going to flop,
I can see
or
that, yeah.
the Super Mario movie.
No!
I
think one of the two are gonna
I'm so
flop.
excited for the Super Mario
I
movie.
don't-
I'm excited for both. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not looking forward to these movies. I personally am, and I'm going to absolutely watch them.
I'm a huge Mario fan. I love the video games.
And you got a main crush on Chris Pratt.
I think that the movie is going to rely very heavily on the memes. Not entirely the way that I think that Barbie is.
Right.
I think that it's going to rely very heavily on the memes. And the memes thus far have not been very positive for the movie.
No. Like the Mario butt meme.
Yeah. well, I mean, all the Chris Pratt memes in general are going against this movie.
Right.
I think that that's going against it.
On the positive side, it is Illumination Studios.
Yes, absolutely, and the quality of the movie is going to be outstanding.
Yeah.
Like, at least the animation aspect will be brilliant.
Almost everybody loves Despicable Me.
Yes.
So
yes,
And I'm one of them. I love Despicable Me. I love these movies.
yeah.
okay, we're gonna have issues because I hate those movies.
Everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion.
Correct.
The Minions are the worst.
But I'm gonna predict you, Super Mario Brothers movie. No, it's gonna make a profit. It's gonna make lots of money.
I think I'll make a profit. I just think that has this
but Dungeons and
large,
Dragons
massive
movie,
chance.
I agree with you. I actually forgot that film is even coming out this year.
Well, I've been really looking forward to it, and they've been doing really good on the advertisement aspect, which is the reason why a lot of movies flop is because they're not advertised very well.
That's why
Like-
I
like-
watch Shazam.
Well, that's the reason why Solo flopped was because not a lot of
Nobody
people knew that the
advertised it,
movie
yeah.
was coming out. It didn't help that they only got the first trailer like 2 months before it, and it was a Super Bowl ad. But that's a different topic. Dungeons and Dragons, I think it is going to flop for a couple reasons. First of all, I don't think that there's going to be enough of a draw for a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like, obviously, you're going to have the Dungeons and Dragons fans going for it.
Right.
And that's a large fan base, just
Right.
all on its own. However, have you guys been in the loop about the OGL
No.
controversies?
No.
Okay, how do I simplify this without taking time? Basically, the OGL is something where Dungeons and Dragons was like, okay, if you want to make your own content, stuff that isn't official D&D content, if you want to make your own stuff and you want to sell it the way that a lot of people do and they make a lot of money, they're like, if you want to, you operate under the OGL, and basically the OGL is granting them the rights to base stuff off their game, and make their own profits based off that game. Well, that has been going for quite a while. I think that it went like 15 years without being interrupted. I could be wrong. It could be a lot shorter than that. But recently, like the beginning of this month, so like all this stuff came by and then went past in this month. Recently, they were like, okay, we're going to do OGL 1.1, which they were on 1.0A. They were like, we're going to do this. And part of it was basically whatever content that you make under 1.1, we can, if we end up making basically a word-for-word copy, you can't come after us. Essentially, if we steal your content, which they kept saying, no, we're not saying that we'll steal your content and you can't come after us. They're like, they were like, well, that's not what we said. It's
That's
like,
awfully
okay,
sketchy.
but that's literally what you said. Like,
Yeah.
like the fact that you said extreme similarities. Like, how extreme of a similarity does it have to be for it to be considered stealing for you?
I feel like the most popular ones they'll copy and then say, "Oh, you can't." Yeah.
Yeah, and there
very sketchy.
are people that have been like, oh, well, this is almost exactly what I did, and I think that's the reason why they did it.
Yeah.
They gave reasons. I thought that the reasons were okay, but what they did kind of betrayed it. But they lost a lot of faith with 1.1 is basically what I'm saying. So a lot of the D&D fan base was like, no, like a lot of us made D&D our livelihood. Like, we made this, like, we make content for D&D. Like there's this site called DM's Guild where they make homebrew content and they sell homebrew content, and that's where a lot of people make their money. And basically with the OGL 1.1, they were like, yeah, everything on DM's Guild we can copy as long as it wasn't made under the previous OGL. And it sucked. And recently they won back some goodwill because they're like, okay, well, here's the draft for 1.2, which they were saying that 1.1 was a draft, but it came with it like contract. Like, it didn't say that it was a draft. It didn't say this is an example. This is not a work in progress.
Right.
Like, it was like an official thing. It came with official contracts. And they're like, oh no, they were drafts. So everybody was like, bullshit. Bullshit. That was not a draft. If it was a draft, it wouldn't have come with contract. And if it was a draft coming with contract, it would have said draft on the contract. It's not that hard to put a watermark on it.
Right.
But they came out with 1.2 recently to the community where they're like, hey, so we want to get your guys' feedback and we want to know what you think. And they were actually supposed to keep the survey that was linked on the post that led to the new draft. They actually had a survey where they're like, we want to know. Like, there's a 2-week window where during this 2-week window, you can submit your thoughts on this at any point. After a 2-week window, we'll review everything, then we'll come out with 1.3, and then 1.4, 1.5, however long it takes. It didn't make it to the 2-week window because they closed it, I think, Thursday, something like that. Like literally a week later, they closed the survey, and they announced, hey, so 86% of you said that you didn't like 1.2. They're like, but you were also in favor of us making this really good move where we allow you to use our name brand stuff for free no matter what. They're like, so we're just going to not do a new one, and we're going to release all this stuff that is literally our IP for free for you to use. But with them making those moves, just the 1.1 in general, they lost a lot of goodwill. And personally, I'm going to keep partaking in D&D. I love D&D. And I'm going to go see this movie, especially after this move. But there are going to be a lot of fans that are super pissed off still. And rightfully so. And so while you had one of the largest RPG player bases, like in all of the industries,
Right.
you had this, and you decided to piss them all off, like 2 months ahead of a movie. And the movie looks great. I've watched all the trailers. I'm a big fan of it. I'm going to buy the tie-in novels and stuff like that. I'm going to dick ride this movie to death.
Yeah.
But I think that it has potential to flop solely because of the OGL stuff.
Okay.
Like, not only are they appealing to a niche thing, which, granted, they have Chris Pine in it. Like, they have Hugh Grant. They have a lot of pretty big faces, in my opinion. I don't know. They just pissed off a lot of people 2 months before this movie came out.
Yeah. We're just going to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, we see. Maybe the movie actually. Maybe actually will be good.
Yeah.
Paul, real quick, what do you think is going to flop? Real quick.
Knock at the Cabin.
Okay.
Ooh,
Not because it's going to be bad.
Okay.
Because I think it'll be good. But I feel like the M. Night Shyamalan's movies haven't really done as good lately.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason, I hope I'm wrong, because I love M. Night Shyamalan. I think he's amazing. But for that reason, I do think that there is a very high probability that Knock at the Cabin will not do as good. I think it'll be a great movie. Again, I'm a huge fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I think he does great work. I think this will be no exception. But his movies just simply have not done as good lately. A movie that comes to mind immediately thinking of that is Old. I think that
Yeah, I never saw Old.
I was actually okay with it. I know it didn't get the greatest reviews. I was okay with it, but it's an example of an example of a good M. Night Shyamalan movie that just simply didn't do as good.
Yeah.
And I think that this could follow suit, though I hope that I'm wrong.
I've got 3 that I think are possible. I think Dungeons and Dragons. The last one didn't do as good, and they haven't announced anything for it yet except for the cast. No, stills nothing. The Expendables 4.
I have heard nothing about that movie.
Yeah, I know 50 Cent and Megan Fox are going to be among the new cast, but that's basically all I've heard. It comes out in, I think, August, and I've seen nothing.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen nothing. And then Morbius didn't do so well. Kraven the Hunter. That
That might do really well solely because of Aaron Taylor Johnson, though.
Right.
I think that will be one of the drawing points, especially for like the
I do not remember that
Spider-Man
movie
fan base.
coming out. Honestly.
Kraven the
That
Hunter?
shows you how the Sony version is so screwed up.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they've got
don't
so
try
much
it
coming
against
out.
the MCU.
Yeah.
Don't try that.
They've got Madam Web, the Silk Show. I guess they're going to do tie-in TV shows on Prime.
Sony, you should just give the rights back to Marvel. Just give back the rights. That's what I would do.
We'll discuss
Yeah,
the Sonyverse in length one day.
Yeah.
But I think that was a pretty good first episode.
Absolutely.
I think so, yeah.
So, guys, we will see you next week for the DC news from James Gunn.
Hopefully.
And, yeah, hopefully. and unless he just has to toy with us some more. And we also get, we'll do our pool on who we think will be staying and who will be going from the current cast of DCU. Also, future picks that are not announced, what we think will be coming soon. So, just see you guys all for the next episode.
Yeah, God bless you, everybody. Have a good night.
See ya.